Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has harem with hinata and temari gara bashing. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by B-Day and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Start. After half of the nine-tailed demon fox was sealed inside of the newborn baby of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, it was extremely pissed being sealed up once again right after it got released. Damn that Minato and Kushina. The fox angrily thought behind its giant bars, lowly growling. And damn that Madara as well. I was already used by him once and now I was used by him again. How the hell could I let these filthy humans take control of me? The Kyuubi let out a frustrated roar. Damn this world. The fox began swiping at the bars, but nothing happened. He slowly took deep breaths to try and calm himself down. No matter, I can always influence this child to keep using my chakra, and when he uses too much, I'll be released. Yes, that's what I'll do, the fox Biju planned out as he laid down and rested his head on his arms. He was going to close his eyes, but something caught his attention, making him open them again. In front of the bars stood a woman with straight black hair that reached down to her shoulders and strange eyes. Her eyes had black rings around them and there was a black streak that connected to her neck. Her scleras were black, her eyes were red, and her pupils were white. From her neck down it was all black. The Kyuubi was unsure if it was painted or not. "Hello Kyuubi." The woman greeted with a cheery smile. The fox gave her a look of confusion. "Who the hell are you and what are you doing here?" he asked, turning his head to fully look at her. "Me? I'm just a passerby saying hello," the woman responded, closing her eyes in content. "You're not a passerby if you can enter here. Now, I'll ask again and you're going to answer. Who the hell are you?" "I told you, I'm just a passerby. You don't really need to know me, Kurama," the woman avoided but quickly closed her mouth at speaking his actual name. "Do not play games with me, woman. You're obviously not a passerby since you're in here and you know my actual name. Only the sage knows that." The fox Biju shouted at the woman, making her cover her face from all of the wind. "Geez, could you calm down? And brush your teeth, your breath smells like death," the woman told the fox as she waved the air and covered her nose. The Biju named Kurama looked at the woman in more confusion. She wasn't scared at all from his yelling which shocked him, but he didn't show it. "How are you not shaking where you stand? I'm the nine-tailed demon fox. Everyone trembles before me." "Yes, I'm just built different," the woman muttered to herself. "What was that?" "Well, you just don't scare me. You're not even as strong as me, especially since your other half's been sealed away inside of Minato," the woman responded with a nonchalant shrug. "What are you talking about? A mere human isn't stronger than me. What about Madara? He seems stronger than you to have put you under his Ninjutsu and you also fell for it again. Ninjutsu is a cheap trick. That doesn't count," Kurama said and turned his head away in anger. "Aren't you basically the sixth pass child? Shouldn't you know about the Sharingan and its Ninjutsu? Sounds to me like you're making excuses." The fox Biju looked at the woman in confusion. "How the hell do you know about me being created from the six paths?" The woman looked to the side with an awkward grin. "Ah shit, me and my big mouth. Answer my question." Alright, just stop yelling. Geez, your breath stinks." The woman shouted and covered her nose once again. "But it's simple really, I was there." "What? You heard me, you damn fox. I said I was there." "How?" "I watched as the old man gave you beasts names. It was so adorable seeing all of your cute faces when you were younger. What happened to make you such a smelly and pissy fox?" the woman asked with a disgusted expression on her face. What the sage made sure that no one could watch him as he gave us names. "Stop spouting bullshit. Shukaku, Matatabi, Isobu, Son Goku, Kakuo, Seiken, Chimei, Jayuki, Kurama and Atara, the tailed beast that you all came from," she replied with a sinister smile that made Kurama flinch slightly. What, there's no way. "I guess you could say that I'm Hagoromo and Homura's little sister," she said with a shrug. "Impossible. There's just no way that's true." "Believe it you damn fox, because it is true," the woman told, growing serious and glared at Kurama. His eyes were wide as he stared at the woman in slight fear. "Listen to me well. I'm the offspring of the god tree and you know how plants' offspring are the exact same as the parents, right?" "Yes." "Good. I was made from the god tree to primarily destroy Kagaya and wipe out the humans on this earth. I'm technically Hagoromo and Homura's long-lost sibling. Unfortunately for them, they're dead and I'm still alive," the woman explained and snickered. Then what's your name?" "I don't have one," the woman answered. "But don't call me god tree or anything like that, it just sounds stupid." Kurama could only nod. He was at a loss for words. Hagoromo told him about the god tree and what it did to planets it grew on. If this woman did come from a tree like that, he could only imagine what she'd be able to do. His attention was brought back when she started giggling. "You can call me Kasaichu," the woman said with a smile. "Parasite?" Kurama asked. The woman frowned at him. Ugh, did this fox have to ruin her cool moment like that? "I should kill you for ruining my cool moment like that," the woman stated, making Kurama gulp and sweat drop, but she sighed and lost her glare. "Fine, just call me Kirai." Kurama nodded, not wanting to possibly upset her even more. "Anyways, I've spent too much time here. Hey fox, listen up." Kurama gave her his full attention. "You're going to help this brat grow up." The fox blinked at her a few times. "Huh? You heard me, you deaf fox. I said you're going to help the child of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki become strong. You're going to help him make the right choices in his life and not go down a dark path. Don't go against him and do not try to break out of here by making him use a lot of your chakra to the point he loses himself," Kirai ordered. "Wait, why? What are you trying to accomplish by doing this?" Kurama asked, a bit puzzled by this request. The woman groaned. She didn't want to explain this and she knew the questions he was going to ask. "Listen. I'm doing this so I can escape and wipe this land clean of humans. Can't you do that yourself? Why use the boy?" She facepalmed. "This is so annoying. Ugh, I can't do it myself because I don't have enough power to do so. I can't do anything with this body. But. Yes, I know I said I'm my own entity, but I'm only an entity. I don't have a stable body to use my power, so that's why I'm using you and this child. Is that why you chose Parasite as your name? If it helps you understand me, then sure. Okay, couldn't you just take over one of us, Biju? No. You're entirely made out of chakra. Wouldn't that make it easier since we're connected? Quite the opposite. It makes it near impossible since you don't have any actual parts like a human would or an animal. I need a stable body, not more chakra," she explained. "Alright, I understand now. You better, or else I'll kill you," the woman threatened with her glare, sending shivers down Kurama's spine. "Geez, you don't have a spine, do you? All you are is arrogance and hate, huh? You're a tree," Kurama shouted at Kirai. Kirai looked at him with a smug smirk. "But I'm a god tree." Kurama could only growl at her. "Please, for the love of me, take a damn shower." Kirai yelled at the fox, covering her nose again. "Where the hell am I supposed to take one? This water is filthy as you are." Kurama yelled back. "At least wash your damn teeth." Kirai lifted her arm up in an arc and the water before her shot up, splashing Kurama in the face. "You damn woman. Bleh. You can't get me from behind the bars." Kirai teased, sticking out her tongue. "Anyways, do as I said before or else you'll die permanently." Kurama exhaled heavily, nodding at Kirai's demands. "And don't stop him from learning the shadow clone technique," Kirai added with a smile. How do you know he's going to learn that?" Kurama asked, tilting his head slightly. "I just have a hunch. But do listen to it." She gave him a wink and turned around to walk away. "See you later, Kurama. Don't let the kid die." Kurama could only watch as she walked away. He deeply sighed and fell on his back, the heavy pressure in the air finally going away. "Damn it, now I'm forced to help this brat," Kurama thought as he closed his eyes. "Whatever, I don't know what she has planned to get to her goal, but maybe the kid and I could kill her before she reaches it. You damn demon fox. Get the hell out of here." A man shouted as he began throwing random things at a young, blonde boy. The blonde quickly turned and booked it out of the store, somehow dodging the items that were being thrown at him from behind. After he ran out of the store, he turned left and ran as far as he could before reaching an alleyway. He ran inside and sat behind a couple of trash and boxes. He sat there for a little bit and tried to catch his breath. He grit his teeth to try and hold back the tears that were about to spill from his ocean blue eyes. The kid's white shirt with a red swirl on the front and back was dirtied, and so were his gray shorts. One of his sandals was gone from his previous venture to try and get food for himself. Today was sadly the day he was being hunted down. He'd completely forgotten about it after the sunset and couldn't get any food. I'll just have to starve for another day, he thought as tears began to spill out. Why is it every week this happens to me? The young blonde couldn't catch a break. Everyone in the village always looked at him with hatred or fear in their eyes when he was around. He never had any friends and he was alone. Oh, so very alone. The parents always told the kids to never interact with the boy in any way. Only to stay as far away from him as possible. But why? Why stay away from him? What had he done to these people for them to hate him so much? The blonde rubbed his face clean of tears and dirt and stood up. It was eerily quiet and he didn't like it one bit. He slowly and carefully made his way out of the alleyway and peeked his head out, only to have to duck back inside as a kunai flew past him and embedded itself into the wall to his right. "Found it." The man that threw the kunai shouted at the top of his lungs. "It's over here." The whiskered blonde's eyes widened and he quickly made a break for it. Get back here. The man shouted after him. The boy ran as fast as he could away from them, tears now freely flowing down his cheeks, slightly blurring his vision. He felt the need to duck and so he did, hearing three things whiff by his head. He picked his head back up and saw three kunai fly ahead of him. He looked behind himself to see a lot of people were chasing him. No, no, no. He thought, pushing himself to run faster. He soon began making random turns to try and lose the horde of villagers that were after him. He soon jumped into an alleyway and hid behind some boxes, making sure his breathing wasn't too loud. He heard the horde's massive footsteps and just prayed to Kami that they wouldn't find him there. He could hear the running footsteps pass by him, it seems like they didn't know where he was. Breathing a quiet sigh of relief, the boy stood up and turned around to bump. Ow! He yelped as he landed on his ass. He rubbed it to try and stop the pain as he looked up. He stopped his movements, eyes widening as the man standing before him looked down with a sinister grin. Then no, this can't be any more, thought stopped there as the man forcefully kicked the boy's stomach, sending him flying out of the alleyway and into the open street. The boy coughed up some saliva and a bit of blood as he tried to get up but couldn't. The pain in his stomach wouldn't allow him to stand. I found the fox. The man informed whoever was around. The boy's eyes widened again, tears flowing from his eyes. Why do I have to be the fox? He asked himself and tried to get up but still couldn't. The pain was surprisingly going away, but it wasn't fast enough. He soon heard a lot of footsteps come his way and he froze. You're so dead. Naruto's eyes barely opened and he realized he was in a different place than he was last night. He could see the white ceiling and lights. He assumed he was in the hospital. It wouldn't be the first time he was in there. The boy fully opened his eyes and tried to sit up but pain shot through his body and he didn't try to get up again. He exhaled deeply as tears began to flow from his eyes. I hate this so much, I hate these hospital ceilings, I hate being here, he angrily thought and grit his teeth. Just then, the door to his room opened and he forced his arm to wipe away the tears which caused him great pain. A man with a white robe on and a white and red hat entered the room. As he made his way to the boy, he looked at him with a sad expression on his face. Once he got to his bedside, he sighed. Hello, Naruto, he greeted the boy with a small smile. Hey, Gramps, how are you? Naruto asked with a bright grin. The Hokage was caught off guard by the smile. It didn't look fake at all. I should be asking you that, Naruto, the Sandaime Hokage said with sadness laced in his voice. I'm sorry. For what? You didn't do anything wrong, Naruto said. I wasn't there for you when you needed help and I let you get severely hurt, you're lucky you're not dead, he responded, looking at the bed. Gramps, I know that you're busy doing Hokage things, I can't always have you protect me, you know, Naruto said with a smile. I was being careless and forgot that today was fox hunt, it was my fault. The Sandaime Hokage exhaled. You going to be okay? I have to be. If I'm not, then I'll just end up dead, Naruto answered, losing his smile. I wish you weren't treated like this, it makes me sad knowing the people of Konoha would treat one of their own like garbage. I've gotten used to it, so it's fine. Are you sure? The Hokage asked with a raised eyebrow. Yes, thank you for visiting me, Gramps, I appreciate it. Naruto assured with a foxy grin. The Hokage couldn't help but smile at the young boy. Alright then, I'll be going now. And I've also done a bit of shopping for you, so you don't need to worry about food, he said with a smile. The boy's eyes widened as his stomach growled. Thanks. You're the best. Naruto exclaimed, hugging the old man. It was nothing. He chuckled and returned the hug before they let go. Now, I'll see you later, try and stay out of trouble in the meantime. You got it. Naruto promised with a thumbs up. The Hokage soon left the boy alone in the room and he sighed. He soon closed his eyes and went to sleep, that's the least he could do. Kurama was sleeping without any problems until he felt a familiar presence. He opened his eyes and saw Kirai with her arms crossed in front of his cage. Kurama instantly got up. Hello there, Kirai, what brings you here so suddenly? Kurama asked in a nervous tone. I'm here because the child's been getting severe injuries over the years, you haven't been doing your job, Kurama, she said with a glare. What, I can't do anything to help him other than heal him. If he uses my chakra then people will get suspicious and it will reinforce their belief stays me. Kurama defended himself. You could at least talk to him. How do you think a child would react hearing voices in its head? If you're nice to him, he'd react calmly and perhaps listen to you. You'd be the closest thing to a friend he'd have at the moment, Kirai responded. But not every child is the same. This one would think he'd be going crazy if he heard voices in his head and that wouldn't get us anywhere, Kurama stated. Kirai stared at him for a few moments before sighing. You have a point, I guess. But can you at least heal him a bit faster? I'm trying to. Good. Kirai turned around and walked away, leaving Kurama alone. I hope this doesn't become a regular thing. Naruto woke up a few hours later and after he felt fully healed, he left the hospital. Since they wouldn't discharge him themselves, he'd just do it himself. Naruto made it home safely and without any problems. Once he entered his rundown apartment, he went to the kitchen and opened up his ramen cupboard. He was surprised to have seen so many cups in there and smiled. "Thanks, Gramps." Naruto thanked out loud as he grabbed one and began making his noodles. As he waited, he looked outside of his window and saw the sun was high in the air. He looked down to see someone on top of a rooftop. The person had long and straight purple hair that went down to their waist and had on a white mask that looked like a cat with 3 red stripes. She was wearing black and gray armor, metal arm guards, and a katana strapped to her back. She had on black pants with white gauze wrapped around her right leg and black sandals. Naruto also noticed a red tattoo on her right shoulder. The masked person turned to her right and stared at Naruto. He stared back and didn't blink, afraid if he did, she'd disappear. And he was right to think so. When Naruto blinked, she was gone from sight. He shouted and opened his window. He looked around, trying to locate where the masked woman went before he felt something tap his head. He looked up and saw her crouched above his window. Waving at him. He stared at her in astonishment. How did she get there? "Why, how did you get there?" he asked, completely in shock. "Mind if I come in?" she asked in a soft voice. Naruto shook his head and got his head back inside. He moved out of the way and the masked woman jumped in. She inspected his apartment before looking down at the boy. "Who are you?" "Me? I'm an Anbu Kunoichi," she responded. "My name is Kat." "Hat? That's a cool name." Naruto complimented. She giggled at his energeticness. "Aw, thank you, but that's not my actual name." "Well then, what is your actual name?" "Can't tell you, that's a secret," she said, bopping his nose lightly with her finger. "Oh, why can't we trade names? I tell you mine and you tell me yours." "The thing is, I already know yours, Naruto," she said with a giggle, making Naruto pout. "No fair. How do you know my name, masked lady?" Naruto quizzed. "Because I work for Lord Hokage. We know a lot about the people in this village." "So then why come see me? Isn't there anyone else worth seeing besides me?" Naruto asked, growing somber. "Don't say that, Naruto. You're worth seeing. You're so cute." Kat replied and poked his cheeks. He blushed but didn't tell her to stop. Naruto's pot of boiling water began whistling. Him and Kat's attention were moved to the whistling pot and Naruto quickly rushed over. He poured the hot water into his cup of ramen and grinned. "Finally, it's done," Naruto exclaimed. He grabbed 2 chopsticks, then sat down at the table and was about to dig in, but he remembered that Kat was still there. "Oh, Kat. Do you want some?" he asked, offering up his ramen. Kat giggled before politely denying the gesture. "No thank you, I'm good." She sat down next to him and rubbed his hair. Such a gentleman for offering up his ramen to a guest. His blush returned, but he leaned into the rubbing. "It's polite to offer food to your guest before you eat." Kat nodded at him and he ate his ramen slowly. "This Kat, what does an Anbu shinobi do?" Naruto asked and was soon leaning against her. She continued to rub his head as she thought about her answer. "Well, Anbu shinobi do secret missions that Lord Hokage assigns us," Kat answered. "What kind of secret missions?" "They're called secret missions for a reason," Kat said and plucked a hair out, making Naruto yelp. "Hey. Don't do that." Naruto yelled and rubbed his head. Kat giggled. "Well, I can tell you one type of mission that we do." "And what's that?" "Surveillance." "So you watch people?" Naruto guessed. "Yes. We watch people in case they are spies or criminals, then we either take them down or continue tailing them." "Wow, that sounds so cool." "I know, right? But being an Anbu isn't as cool as it seems," Kat said, bringing the mood down a bit. "Why's that?" "Because there's a lot of danger that comes with it. It's like being a regular shinobi but even more dangerous," Kat answered. "Oh wow. If you're thinking of becoming an Anbu shinobi, don't," Kat told the child. "Oh, but you guys look so cool and can do cool things." "Yes, but at a cost." "And what's the cost?" "Your personality, your emotions, everything. You lose it all once you become an Anbu shinobi." Naruto now looked scared. Kat rubbed his head and hugged him with one of her arms, his blush returning. "But you can become a regular shinobi," Kat said. "A regular shinobi?" "Yes. Pretty much anyone could become a shinobi, but you have to have the strength, courage, drive, determination, and the will of fire to do it." "The will of fire? What's that?" "The will of fire is something all Konoha shinobi have. Konoha shinobi with the will of fire loves, believes, cherishes, and fights to protect this village," Kat explained. "Do you have the will of fire, Naruto?" "Yes. I want to protect this village, no matter what," Naruto declared with a fist bump and determined look in his eyes. Kat stared into his eyes and saw that he was serious. "Excellent. Now, all you need to do is attend the academy." "How do I do that?" "How old are you?" 5. "Wait 3 years and you'll be able to attend." "What? 3 years, Naruto shrieked and leaned back. Yes. You'll be spending 4 years there. Well, I recommend you spend 4 years there, but you can graduate whenever you want to, Kat elaborated with a shrug. But please Naruto, go with my recommendation and do the 4 years. You'll learn a lot as a shinobi and you'll become strong as well. So then what should I do in the meantime? Naruto asked. Train. Train your body, your chakra, your mind, anything you can to help you get ready for the academy. Can you train me? Naruto asked, catching Kat off guard. Huh? I said, can you train me? He restated. I don't know if that's possible, Naruto Kat answered as she scratched her head nervously. Why not? You're the perfect one to be my teacher. You're an Anbu shinobi, you can teach me all kinds of things. Naruto pointed out with a pout. Yeah, but Naruto, I have to do important missions with my squad and I could be given one any minute. I can't just train you right now, I'm sorry, Kat apologized and rubbed his head. Naruto picked at the remaining ramen, his mood sullied a bit. He began eating it as an idea came to mind. I understand, he said as he finished his ramen. Kat sighed in relief. But can you at least tell me something? Naruto asked her. Tell you what? Tell me what I should do to get my body in shape. Well, you need an exercise schedule, a good diet, good sleep, and you need to keep this consistent. No cheat days, Kat answered. What do you think's a good exercise? And what's a good diet, also what's a good sleep schedule? And what are cheat days? Naruto quizzed the Anbu shinobi. Calm down Naruto, one question at a time, Kat said and rubbed his head. Alright, for one, I'll write you down a good exercise schedule for you and a good diet. For the third one, go to sleep at around 9 and wake up at around 7, doesn't have to be exact. For the last one, cheat days are whenever you break away from your diet for a day to eat whatever you want. Naruto nodded at what Kat told him. Right, I see. I'll return here tomorrow and give you a sheet. For now, I have to go, bye my cute little Naruto, Kat said and gave him a tender hug. He returned it too. Bye Kat. After their hug, she left through the window and disappeared. Naruto looked out the window before sighing and closing it. He turned around and smiled. Kat may not think she'll be able to train me, but that'll change right now, he thought with a little snicker. Naruto went over to the Sandaime Hokage's office shortly after Kat left. Once he got there, he knocked on the door to wait to come in. Come in, the Sandaime Hokage said. Naruto opened the door and he was surprised to see the blonde. Naruto. What a surprise to see you here. Hi Gramps. Naruto greeted back and closed the door behind him. He ran up to Hirazen's desk and peeked over it on his toes. What made you come see me? Horizon asked the child as he pushed away a paper he was reading over. Well, an Anbu shinobi visited me a while ago and it was so cool. Naruto responded with a wide grin. Oh? Who could have visited you? Her name was Kat. It was so awesome seeing her teleport to my window. Hiruzen chuckled at Naruto's storytelling. Really now? Yeah, she also told me that I could become a shinobi too by attending the academy in 3 years, Naruto added and put 3 fingers up for Hiruzen to see. She's not wrong. To become a shinobi you first have to attend the academy to understand what it means to be a shinobi. Then, you'll have to become a genin to see if you have the potential to become a shinobi. After that, you'll have to become a chunin to test that potential. And then there's jounin and sanin, but that's farther down the road, Hiruzen explained. Oh, I see, Naruto commented. But Kat also told me that I should start training while I wait to attend the academy, but I dunno how to do that. She told me that she'll give me a proper diet and exercise schedule too. Hiruzen was surprised by the request. He knew it would be troublesome if he took Kat away from her squadron missions just to train a little kid, but this wasn't an ordinary kid and he could fill Kat's spot in with an Anbu commander that was just as good as she was. Hiruzen took a moment to see if he really could do that, but seeing as there were no issues, he smiled at Naruto and nodded. The Sandaime Hokage took out a piece of paper and began writing on it before handing it to the blonde. When you see her, tell her that she begins training you now. Naruto couldn't help but show off his foxy grin, this was perfect. Thanks Gramps. Naruto ran off and Hiruzen smiled after the boy. I hope Kat doesn't mind the slight rearrangement. The next day, Naruto got up early and began making some ramen. He was in a good mood since today would be the day that Kat trains him and he couldn't help but grin at that. As his water was boiling, he heard a knock at his window. He turned around and as expected, Kat was there. Naruto's grin grew wider as his new friend had appeared. Naruto rushed over to the window and opened it. Hi Kat. Hello Naruto, how are you? Kat asked and ruffled the boy's hair. I'm doing great. Come on in. Naruto said, moving out of the way. Kat let herself in and closed the window behind her. She sniffed the air and sighed. The kid was making ramen for breakfast. She should have known it seemed like that was all he ate. I hope you slept good last night, Naruto, because your training starts after you eat your ramen, Kat informed the whiskered blonde. "So you will be training me?" Naruto excitedly asked with a hopeful expression on his face. Pat quickly put her hands up to defend herself. "Whoa, hold on kiddo. I'm sorry, but I can't train you. I'm an Anbu shinobi and I could be called out to a mission any minute. I can't stay here all the time, I told you this yesterday." Naruto's expression changed into a wide smile. "Yeah, you may think that, but Gramps says otherwise." Naruto then pulled out the written paper from Hiruzen and gave it to Kat. The Anbu Kunoichi took the paper and read it over. "Wait a minute, the Sandaime Hokage actually signed this?" Kat asked in her head. She was shocked that the Hokage would put aside her missions to train this boy. "Oh, I see." Kat handed Naruto the paper and stood there for a minute before sighing. "Well, I guess I'm your trainer until you get to the academy." Naruto's smile turned into a grin as he hugged Kat. "Thank you, Kat." Kat returned the hug. "Yeah, no problem, my cute little Naruto." The pot began to whistle and Naruto broke off from the hug to get it. Kat decided to sit at the table where she sat yesterday and Naruto gladly sat next to her. He opened his ramen cup and looked at Kat. "You want some?" Naruto asked. Kat giggled and grabbed his chopsticks. "Sure, but after this meal, you won't be eating ramen for a while." Naruto's bright mood diminished as he heard that. His face looked horrified at what Kat said. Wait, what do you mean by that?" Naruto questioned and nearly dropped his cup ramen. "I mean that when we start training, you're gonna have to stop eating ramen. It's for the diet," Kat answered and grabbed a piece of ramen. She lifted up her mask and began slurping on it. What, but it's so good. I can't just stop eating it," Naruto told the Anbu Kunoichi. Kat smiled at him. "Well, now that I'm going to be your trainer and teacher, I'll help you with that." "How so?" Naruto asked, a bit afraid of her answer. "I'll force you to stop," Kat replied and continued to eat Naruto's ramen. "If you try and eat ramen, I'll know and I'll hit you." Naruto gulped at that. He didn't want to know how powerful or hurtful her hits were. I see. Kat finished the last of the ramen and sighed in content. "That was delicious. Thank you for the meal, Naruto." Naruto tilted his head and retracted his arm to look at the cup ramen, only to realize it was empty. When did you eat it all?" "When we were talking," Kat answered as she adjusted her mask. "Darn, guess I'll have to get another one." Naruto sighed and went to get up, only for Kat's hand to firmly grasp his shoulder. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked in a serious tone. To get another cup of ramen." Naruto responded, visibly shaking. "You finished your meal, it's time to train now." What, you ate it all?" "But you offered me it." "I said some, not the whole thing." "Oh well, you still gave me it. Now, we're going." Kat grabbed Naruto's hand before getting up and dragging him out the window. "Whoa, wait a minute, Kat." Naruto shouted at the Kunoichi that began jumping from rooftop to rooftop. "From this point on, I'm your teacher and trainer. You will call me Kat-sensei, understand?" Kat asked the whiskered blonde. "And if I don't?" "I'll drop you right here and now," Kat said as she stopped at the edge of a roof and dangled Naruto over by his ankle. Okay. Kat-sensei, please don't drop me." Naruto pleaded. Kat threw him on her shoulders and resumed her roof hopping. "Good, just what I wanted to hear. I shouldn't have made her my sensei." Naruto and Kat made it to one of the training grounds that was used for genin shinobi. Kat settled Naruto down and placed her hands on her hips. "Alright, Naruto. The first thing we'll do is some exercises to get you started," Kat informed. "Will I ever get to fight?" he asked and slightly tilted his head. "Yes, you'll be able to spar against me, but first you have to do these exercises before we can get to that point," Kat answered as she put a finger up. "Right." Naruto nodded furiously at that. Kat began to explain to him everything about the exercise schedule she came up for him. Naruto looked at the paper, horrified at how much he'd actually have to do to get fit. Kat reassured him that he would get used to it as long as he kept doing it and didn't slack off. So, the two began with warm-up stretches first, then they began the first exercise, which was to jog 5 laps around a certain trail. Naruto was able to keep up with Kat, but that lasted for a short while when they barely started the 3rd lap. The route Kat mapped out was longer than Naruto expected and his legs burned. After painfully succeeding in the 5 laps, they took a small break. "Kat-sensei, why didn't you tell me this would be painful?" Naruto asked his sensei as he tried to catch his breath. "Well, this is your first lesson in being a shinobi. Nothing's ever easy. Things like exercise and being a better ninja come with hard work and effort. There are no shortcuts, especially if you want to be something like the Hokage," Kat explained to the whiskered blonde. "Was it hard becoming an Anbu shinobi?" Naruto wondered. "Yes. You have to be really good to become one. And being really good isn't easy, even if you have natural talent, you'll still need to train to make it better." "I see," Naruto said and looked up at the sky. He watched it for a bit before a smile made its way to his face. He got up quickly after feeling peppy. "Alright. I'm gonna crush this exercise schedule you made for me, Kat-sensei, believe it. Pat giggled at her student's statement. I hope so, because this'll be hell for you the more we get into it. I won't back down from a challenge, there's no way I would. Naruto declared with a thumb pointed to his chest. Alright then, Kat said and stood up. Let's move on to the next exercise, shall we? Naruto nodded and the two continued with the next exercise. Naruto was in for a rude awakening at how painful this exercise schedule was. It had been hours since the two had done the things Kat made Naruto do. The whiskered blonde was spent and was resting on Kat's back. The Anbu Kunoichi smiled underneath her mask as she saw how peaceful Naruto looked sleeping. Pat soon brought him to his apartment and placed him down on his bed. She placed the covers over him and stared at him before disappearing. Pat reappeared at the Hokage's office, standing in front of his desk. Excuse me, Lord Hokage, Kat spoke, kneeling. So, how was the first day training Naruto? Hiruzen asked with a small smile, reading over some papers. With all due respect, Lord Hokage, do you really think it's okay for me to be training that boy? Kat asked as she stood up. I do, the Sandaime Hokage responded. But, what about my missions? Aren't those important? They are, but I already have someone else filling in for you. The team dynamic may have to change a bit, but it's all taken care of. Yes, but it's gonna change for 3 years, don't you think that's a bit worrying? Not at all. I'm pretty sure your team's dynamic won't change when you come back after the 3-year break, Hiruzen dismissed her worry. I didn't do this without a reason, plus, you were the one that gave him the idea. Why yeah, but I didn't expect him to make me his teacher. He's a kid, he can't do much on his own, it was bound to happen at some point. Whether it was you or someone else, Hiruzen pointed out. I guess so, Kat agreed with a sigh. Don't worry so much, Kat, I feel as though everything will work out in the end. Right. If that is all, you're dismissed, Hiruzen told the Kunoichi and looked up at her. Hi. Kat responded and teleported away. Naruto's eyes fluttered open and he realized he wasn't in his apartment. He instantly got up and looked around frantically, wondering where he was. It looked like Naruto was in a giant sewer of some sorts with pipes leading to nowhere. Naruto looked at the water and saw that he wasn't wet. I'm not wet. Naruto asked himself as he inspected his hand, which was clean. He looked ahead of himself and saw giant bars with a ceiling tag on the middle one. He looked at them in awe before standing up and walking towards them. As he was walking towards them, something shifted behind the bars, making him stop in his tracks. Naruto watched as a giant red eye slowly opened up. Are you Naruto Uzumaki by any chance? The eye asked. Oh why yes, who are you? Naruto asked back, slightly shaking at the scary voice. Have you ever heard of the monster fox? It asked. Naruto shook his head. Kyuubi. Nope. Nine-tailed fox. Naruto nodded. That's the demon fox that attacked this village years ago, but the awesome Yondaime Hokage stopped him. Yes, you are correct, the voice confirmed. What about the nine-tailed demon fox, have you ever heard of that name? Naruto was about to shake his head, but then he remembered how all of the villagers called him the demon fox every fox hunt. Well, maybe not the nine-tailed demon fox, but the villagers always call me Demon Brat, Demon Fox, Demon, or other mean names, Naruto answered as his head tilted down. I see, well, today's your lucky day, kid, the eye said as there were now 2 giant red eyes staring at Naruto menacingly. Why's that? Naruto asked as his head tilted to the side. Because the voice began as Naruto could hear it moving. The whiskered blonde gasped as a bit of orange, black, and sharp teeth could be seen. You get to meet the fox that caused you so much pain. Chapter 2. Improvement. Naruto could only stare as he saw a bit of the face of the voice that was speaking to him. He could clearly tell it was an animal and that it was a fox. Wait, are you? That's right. I'm the nine-tailed fox or the Kyuubi, the voice replied. So you're the thing that destroyed this village many years ago? Naruto checked. Yes. Naruto cocked an eyebrow. Really? You don't look like you'd destroy the village at all. Wait, you don't think I could have destroyed your village? The fox asked, looking confused. Of course not. You look like such a cute and cool fox. I couldn't imagine you destroying this village at all. And if you did, someone must have set you up. Naruto replied with a huff as he crossed his arms. The fox chuckled. That is really surprising to hear because that's what actually happened sort of. Really? What happened? Well, you need to first know what a Jinchuriki is. A Jinchuriki? The fox smirked. Close enough. A Jinchuriki is a person that hosts a Biju inside of them. A Biju is a tailed beast. Take me for example, I'm a Biju. You're Biju? Do all of them look as cool as you? Naruto wondered with a wide grin. PSH, not even close. I'm the coolest one out of the 9 of us, the fox shot down with a cocky grin. I do wonder what the others look like if you look this cool. Well, you'd have to see for yourself, but that would be impossible. The other Bijuus are contained inside of people and I have no idea where they're located, the fox Biju explained. Oh, well that sucks, Naruto said with a huff. I believe you'll meet them someday but anyways, back to what a Jinchuriki is. A Jinchuriki hosts a Biju for as long as they live so that the Biju can't destroy the village. It's a way of keeping us under control. Is there any other way to keep you under control? Other than the Sharingan I don't think so. You could kill me, but I'll just come back sometime later, just in a different spot. Oh what's the Sharingan? Naruto wondered. The fox sighed. Don't worry about it, you'll learn of it soon enough, but moving on, the only efficient way is to seal us inside of someone, a Jinchuriki. Can anyone be used as a Jinchuriki? No. It's hard to know who's compatible with a Biju, but if you aren't you will die. Naruto's eyes widened. Die. Yes die it's unfortunate when someone can't contain a Biju the same when being extracted. Extracted. It's when us Biju get taken out of our Jinchuriki to be placed in another one. Our previous Jinchuriki die from the extraction. Naruto looked at the ground in slight sadness. Oh. But, it only happens when the Jinchuriki is about to die, like from old age, sickness, and many more causes. Naruto's mood was slightly raised. Well, that's good to know at least. The fox nodded as he breathed deeply out from his nose. Where was I? Oh, right, anyways, I was being forcefully extracted from my previous Jinchuriki from a bad man. He used the Sharingan to put me under his control, then extracted me from my Jinchuriki. He summoned me in the middle of the village and forced me to destroy it. But something happened and he lost control of me, so I tried running away, but then I was captured and sealed again. You were sealed again? In who? In you. What why me? Naruto questioned in shock as he stepped back. Because, you're the only one that can contain me. If they let me go, I would have come back and destroyed the village myself or destroyed another village, the fox responded. But why? Why would you come back? Because I would have blamed being under control on you. I was full of hatred, the fox explained with a sigh. Oh I understand. The Biju looked at Naruto puzzled. You understand? Yeah. I didn't know why these villagers hated me and tried to kill me, and at one point I did hate them, but I can't let them get to me. I want to be the Hokage, you know. And I also love the village itself, plus Gramps. Naruto exclaimed with a raised fist. The fox scoffed with a smirk. That's a good goal to have, you should keep it and try to achieve it. Oh I will, believe it. And I'm gonna make these villagers respect me. I guess I'll help you with your goal, the Biju said as he looked to the side. You will. I mean I have nowhere else to go, so why not? He answered with a shrug. Naruto grinned and cheered. The Biju watched in slight amusement until Naruto stopped. Wait if you were sealed in me then who was the one that sealed you? The Yondaime Hokage. Wow he must be really powerful if he was able to seal you inside of me. Believe me, he is the fox agreed. Then I'm gonna be just like the Yondaime Hokage, but even better. Naruto stated with a determined look. This brat's actually amusing. Maybe it won't be so bad helping him out the Kyuubi thought and couldn't help but smirk. Hey, what's your name anyway? Naruto asked, bringing the fox out of his thoughts. My name? Why do you want to know? Well we're friends now, right? It's only right if I know your name and you know mine, Naruto responded as he crossed his arms. Friends? Kurama stated. The word sounded foreign to him. Yeah. We're friends now, believe it. Naruto declared with a huff. The Kyuubi stared at him for a second before bursting out laughing. Okay, we're friends now. Call me Kyuubi. You can learn my actual name once you're a genin. Naruto smirked and gave him a thumbs up. Don't worry, Kyuubi, I'll be a genin in no time so I can learn your name, believe it. The fox chuckled before looking back at the kid. You better own up to those words. Naruto nodded, then looked at the seal that was keeping the Kyuubi locked behind the bars. So what's that seal for? Naruto asked as he pointed at it. In case I ever tried to kill you, this would keep me from doing so, Kyuubi explained. Can I take it off? No. You are not prepared for what happens next, Kyuubi responded. Wait until you're a genin, then you can take it off. Naruto didn't want to wait to become a genin to free Kyuubi, but that's just more motivation for him to train harder. He backed up and smirked at Kyuubi. You got it, Kyuubi. I'll free you from those bars and learn your name when I become a genin, believe it. Naruto promised with a foxy grin and a thumbs up. We'll just have to see, Kyuubi said with a smirk. For now, I'll visit you so that you're not lonely. Yes I'll be expecting you soon, huh? Naruto nodded. Alright then, go on now, you need sleep to start your training, don't you? Naruto gasped as Kyuubi reminded him of Kat's training. Oh no. You're right, I'm sorry Kyuubi, I have to go now. Bye. See ya kid. Naruto woke up in a good mood. He felt more determined to do his workouts than he did yesterday and that was for two goals. Learn Kyuubi's actual name and release him from his cell. Naruto looked out his window and saw that Kat was there. He opened the window and greeted her. "Hey, Kat-sensei." "Hello Naruto, did you sleep well?" Kat asked as she ruffled his hair. "You bet I did. I can't mess up this exercise schedule, can I?" Naruto rhetorically asked with a foxy grin. "You're right about that. I presume you didn't brush your teeth yet?" Kat guessed as she slightly tilted her head. Naruto gasped. "Oh no, I haven't. I'm gonna go do that really quickly, you can come in too, Kat-sensei." Kat giggled as Naruto ran off to his bathroom to brush his teeth. She decided that she would make him a healthy breakfast so that he could get some ideas if he wanted to make his own. Kat opened a random cupboard and found a bunch of ramen cups. She deadpanned behind her mask and closed it. The Anbu Kunoichi opened some more cupboards to see if she could find any actual ingredients. Thankfully, she did find a couple that had the things she was looking for. As Kat was in the middle of getting things ready, Naruto came back into the kitchen. "Oh, are you making something for me, Kat-sensei?" Naruto asked as he tried to see what she was going to make. "Yes, I am, it'll take a little while to get ready," Kat confirmed and rubbed his head. Naruto nodded as a light blush creeped on his cheeks. He then backed up and went to his bed where he flopped on it. Naruto was at the giant bars that held Kyuubi from escaping. The fox opened both of his eyes to find Naruto standing there. "Hey Kyuubi. How are ya?" Naruto greeted. "I'm fine. Didn't expect to see you so soon," Kyuubi responded. "Yeah, Kat-sensei's making me breakfast, so I thought it'd be a good time to see you." "I see." Naruto took a minute to intensely stare at the bars. Kyuubi looked at Naruto questioningly, unsure of what the whiskered boy was thinking. Kid, what are you doing?" Kyuubi asked, slightly tilting his head. "If you can't come out here, I'll just come in there," Naruto declared and marched his way to the bars. Kyuubi watched as the boy walked in between the bars and stood directly in front of the fox. Naruto looked up and his eyes widened. "You are much bigger than I thought you were," Naruto commented as he looked at Kyuubi in awe. "Well, I am a beast," Kyuubi pointed out. Naruto stared at one of the barely visible arms of Kyuubi and walked up to it. He gently touched Kyuubi's fur and was amazed. "Wow. Your fur is so soft." Naruto commented and began patting it. "I take pride in it," Kyuubi said with a smirk. Naruto began playing with it and Kyuubi even let him play with one of his tails. Naruto had to stop himself before he got too carried away. He cleared his throat before straightening himself. "Kyuubi, I want you to teach me about chakra." Kyuubi looked baffled by this request. "Huh? You heard me. Teach me chakra. Shouldn't you wait until later or at the academy to learn about chakra?" Kyuubi asked. "I just want to get a head start. I feel like this would be really important if I knew about chakra early on," Naruto answered with a smile. "Alright then, take a seat," Kyuubi said as he laid down. Naruto sat down in the water and waited for Kyuubi to speak. "Chakra, right?" Kyuubi then went on to explain the origin of chakra and what it's used for, how humans need it to survive, how to manifest it, and all of the details in basic understanding, so that Naruto could get it. "You can also walk on walls, water, and can cut leaves just by holding them if you know how to control chakra correctly," Kyuubi added with a grin. "But really I wanna know how to do that. Teach me, Kyuubi, please," Naruto pleased as he got on his knees. Kyuubi chuckled at this. "Calm down, kid, I'll teach you when I can, and who knows, maybe that Anbu shinobi will teach you." "You think she'd do that?" Naruto asked as he sat back down. "Probably. It is important," Kyuubi responded, subtly shrugging his shoulders. "So wait, chakra is laying dormant inside of me right now?" "No, it's the opposite for you. Thanks to me, your chakra is lively. You just need to know how to use it," Kyuubi answered. "I see man, this'll be tough having to learn all of this," Naruto explained as he grabbed his hair. "Calm down, kid," Kyuubi spoke with a smile. "You'll be able to figure it out." Naruto calmed down a bit before thinking of something. "Could I use techniques in here?" "If you know what your chakra affinity is, yeah," Kyuubi answered. "Chakra affinity? What's that?" "Yes, I forgot to explain that. Alright then." After Kyuubi explained what chakra natures were to Naruto, Kat had finished making breakfast for the two of them. Naruto opened his eyes and he saw Kat place down the breakfast at the table. He smiled widely and got up from his bed to make his way over. Naruto sat down at one of the plates and looked down. "Wow, this smells good, Kat-sensei." "Oh, thank you Naruto." Kat thanked as she sat next to him. "I hate to say it, but this does look better than ramen," Naruto admitted with a pout. Kat giggled and rubbed his hair. "Now you just need to know how to make you these kinds of meals for lunch and dinner. You'll teach me, right?" "Of course." "Then let's dig in." Naruto exclaimed and began to ferociously eat Kat's cooking. Kat laughed before she herself began to eat her breakfast. After the two were done, they took a break and waited before they started Naruto's training again. They began the painstaking training after their break was over and it felt worse than yesterday for Naruto. "Come on, Naruto, you can't give out on me yet. You have to spar against me too." Kat called out to the boy, trying to encourage him. Naruto was trying his hardest, but it felt like he was going to collapse soon. "No, I can't stop here, I have to keep going until I can get my break," Naruto thought as he began to push himself. They were doing push-ups and Naruto was nearing 50, a goal he set for himself yesterday, even though Kat strongly advised against it. But of course, Naruto wanted to push himself. After his 50th push-up, Naruto collapsed. I did it. Good job, Naruto." Kat congratulated as she set him up right. "You should be careful about pushing yourself too hard, though." "Don't worry, Kat-sensei, I won't push myself too hard, believe it," Naruto exclaimed with a thumbs up. Kat couldn't help but smile as she looked at the boy. How could anyone be so mean to such a nice kid? After the break was over, they continued with their training. Once it was over, Naruto had to be carried back to his apartment again. "Hey, Kat-sensei," Naruto spoke. "What's up? When will I be able to walk home and not be carried by you?" "When you get used to the exercise schedule," Kat responded with a smile. "I hope it soon." Kat couldn't help herself but giggle. A few weeks passed since Naruto began his exercise schedule with Kat. After he'd do a day of exercises, he'd rest up and Kat would teach him how to make healthy meals. In his mind where the fox was, he asked him if he could teach him how to fight. The Biju, of course, refused and told him to wait a bit, but Naruto kept on persisting and eventually the fox gave in. Now, Naruto began learning Kyuubi's fighting style. His style was for aggression and not giving the opponent enough time to perform any techniques or make them go on the defensive. But Kyuubi didn't exactly have a fighting style. He just used tailed beast bombs, wind and fire ninjutsu rarely, and claw and tail attacks when he wanted to. But luckily, during a time when he wasn't sealed inside of his first Jinchuriki, he watched a human using their own taijutsu that was meant for unorthodox attack patterns that couldn't be read easily. He watched as the human was able to use other taijutsu styles in his main one flawlessly. The human even taught Kyuubi how to do it and so he was now teaching it to Naruto. The fox also taught Naruto a bit about chakra control, since he wasn't actually doing any of the actual training yet, he was being taught how to focus his chakra in parts of his body. During one of the fox hunt weeks, Naruto was able to steal some chakra induction paper after tricking the mob of where he went. Now, he was sitting in his home with a stack of the chakra paper and was getting giddy about what his chakra affinity could possibly be. He grabbed a piece of it and his smile grew wider every second. "Alright, kid, put it between your fingers," Kyuubi told the blonde. Naruto did as instructed and put the paper in between his fingers. The paper was then cut in half and Naruto's smile turned into a grin. "Oh yeah. I have a wind affinity," Naruto announced with a chuckle. He looked at the sliced paper, but then his face turned into confusion as the two pieces turned black. "Huh?" Naruto cocked an eyebrow as he watched the now black pieces of paper get cut into many pieces before they all changed to different colors and then disappeared from sight. "Wait, did something wrong happen?" Naruto asked himself as he grabbed another paper and placed the paper in between his fingers. The paper then got sliced in half and after a couple of seconds it turned black and got cut, changed colors, then disappeared again. Hey, Kyuubi, is this supposed to happen?" Naruto asked. "I have no idea, I've never seen anything like that before," Kyuubi responded. "Is it that damn demon's affinity?" "Maybe Kat-sensei will know," Naruto guessed. "You could ask her about it." Naruto nodded and put the chakra induction papers away. Today was the day Kat would start training him how to fight. Luckily for Naruto, he already knew how to fight, but according to Kyuubi, Naruto could add any fighting style he wished into Kyuubi's style if he knew how to. After a little while, something knocked on Naruto's window and he got up. He opened it and Kat let herself in. "Hello, Naruto, how are you?" Kat asked as she ruffled his hair. "Hello, Kat-sensei, I'm fine, but I've come across something that's troubling me," Naruto told the Anbu Kunoichi. "Oh? What's that?" Naruto then grabbed a piece of chakra induction paper and showed it to her. "When did you get this?" Kat asked and slightly tilted her head. "I got it during a fox hunt," Naruto replied. "But anyways, do you know what this means?" Naruto put the piece of paper in between two fingers and the paper sliced in half. "Oh. You have a wind affinity." Kat was cut off as the paper then turned black and began cutting into many more pieces before changing into multiple colors and disappearing. "Tai. See, I don't know what that means," Naruto said with a worried face. "Well, for one, you have a wind affinity. As for the black and the changing colors, I have no idea," Kat told him with a shrug. "We should tell Lord Hokage about this." Naruto nodded and grabbed a piece of chakra paper before Kat grabbed his hand and they both teleported away. Had and Naruto both appeared in front of the Hokage's desk, alerting him of their presence. "Ah, Kat and Naruto. How are you two?" Hiruzen greeted. "We need to ask you a question, Lord Hokage," Kat said with a bit of urgency. He activated the silencing seals around his office after hearing the urgency in Kat's voice. "What is it?" Naruto has learned about what the chakra induction paper is and how to use it. He then used it to figure out his chakra affinity and all seemed okay, but then something strange happened, Kat reported. The paper became black and changed colors. Then it disappeared. Naruto finished. Hiruzen looked between the both of them. "Let me see." Naruto got out a piece of the chakra paper and put it in between two fingers. The same thing happened when Naruto did it the first 2 times. Hiruzen was quite shocked to see this. He hadn't seen anything like that happen to chakra induction paper before. "I can't say I know what it is, I've never seen that happen before," Hiruzen told the two. "But, until Naruto or we figure out what it is and how to use it, this'll be kept a secret, got it?" The two nodded. "Alright, you're dismissed. I'll see if I can find anything about that," Hiruzen said, deactivating the silencing seals. "Hi." Kat replied before she teleported away with Naruto. The two of them were back in Naruto's house, completely stumped about Naruto's second affinity. "Like Lord Hokage said, we'll just have to wait for you to figure out what it is. For now, it's time to teach you how to fight." Naruto looked at Kat with a foxy grin and nodded. She took his hand and teleported to their training ground. Once the two got there, Kat began explaining the basics of how her fighting style worked. Once Naruto understood it, he started to practice on those basics until he perfected them. "Hey, Kat-sensei," Naruto spoke, practicing the basic punch of the fighting style. "What is it?" Kat asked. "Can you take off your mask?" Naruto wondered. "Sorry, Naruto, but I can't. We're not allowed to show our faces," Kat answered in an apologetic tone. Naruto hummed in thought as he switched to practice his kicking. "When we spar, if I'm able to take off your mask, you have to do what I say." "Oh? What's in it for me?" Kat inquired, intrigued by Naruto's bet. "Well, if I give up on trying to take your mask or if I can't when the academy starts, then I'll do whatever you say, deal?" Naruto asked as he turned to look at Kat. And Kat had to think it over though, of course, there was no way Naruto would be able to take off her mask. She nodded at her thoughts before looking at Naruto. "You have yourself a deal, Naruto." Naruto smiled widely. Now he had another goal to accomplish and he had to train harder than before to achieve it. Naruto was now laser focused on perfecting the basics of Kat's taijutsu, no matter what. After Naruto's training session with Kat, he returned home, but Kat was by his side since he fell over a couple of times. As Naruto made it home safely, Kat left and he was now resting on his bed. He was talking to Kyuubi in his mind. "I feel like I'm making great progress, Kyuubi," Naruto stated with a grin as he rested on the bridge of Kyuubi's nose. If you keep up your hard work, you'll be able to win your bet against Kat without any problems," Kyuubi added with a smirk. "You really think so?" Naruto asked as he looked at one of Kyuubi's eyes. "Yes. Hey, how about I teach you some ninjutsu to catch her by surprise when you do actually spar against her?" Kyuubi offered, his smirk growing a bit more. "That sounds awesome. You'd really do that?" Naruto asked as he jolted up. "Yes, I think you can handle some small techniques, nothing too serious," Kyuubi answered and subtly shrugged. "Oh yeah? Let's get this started then," Naruto exclaimed, jumping off of Kyuubi's nose. The fox took a moment to stretch before sitting next to Naruto. "Alright. You have a wind affinity, right? So we'll start with a basic wind release technique," Kurama started as he got his claws together. "This one's called wind release. Sickle weasel technique." Kyuubi then went on to form the snake dragon bird hand seals. Wind release. Sickle weasel technique. He swiped his right claw horizontally in front of him and a blade of wind formed, quickly rushing before him. Naruto was amazed at this and watched the blade of wind travel a small distance before exploding, sending out gusts of wind everywhere. Naruto was getting blown back and nearly flew away, hadn't it been for one of Kyuubi's tails to stop him from doing so. "Now, that was only a blade, but you can also do something like this," Kyuubi explained, and he made the hand seals again, but this time he quickly set his arms back before swinging them forward and past each other. Naruto watched as many currents of wind collided with each other before forming a large tornado. The wind tornado died down and Kyuubi looked at Naruto with a smirk. "It's your turn now, kid," Kyuubi said as he lightly pushed Naruto forward with his tail. Naruto nodded and walked up before taking a deep breath. He didn't do anything for a moment and Kyuubi looked at him in confusion. "Are you going to do it or?" "I forgot how to actually do it," Naruto admitted and awkwardly chuckled. Kyuubi sighed. "Alright, pay attention, kid, and watch my claws closely." Kyuubi put his tail behind Naruto as the boy watched his claws intensely. The fox then went on to make the snake dragon bird hand seals again before swiping horizontally. The same thing happened with the blade traveling a short distance before exploding in a violent burst of wind. Start with the blade first, alright. Kyuubi told the whiskered blonde. But why not do the tornado? Naruto asked as he looked up at the fox. Because it requires precise chakra control to actually form the tornado. It may seem like the wind is doing all of the work, but it's only colliding with one another because I made it do that. To actually form it into a tornado, I have to control it as well with my chakra, the fox explained. And you're not at that level yet. But with a blade, you don't really need to control it, only the distance and power, but yours will be weak because this is your first time doing it. Naruto nodded as he understood what Kyuubi was saying. Naruto took a deep breath before making the snake dragon bird hand seals. Wind release. Sickle weasel technique. He swiped his right arm horizontally like how Kyuubi did, but only a light breeze was made. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. If I keep at it, it'll definitely be as powerful as yours, right? Naruto asked with a happy grin on his face. Oh yeah, just keep practicing and you'll definitely get there, Kyuubi responded with head nods. Naruto giggled to himself before focusing on perfecting the new wind technique. Why was it a light breeze? It should have been a small blade, Kyuubi thought to himself as he watched the child perform the same technique over again. I'll keep watching him to see what happens. Naruto spent the next hour trying to make his sickle weasel technique better, but couldn't. He didn't understand why it wasn't working, nor did the Kyuubi, but he decided to call it a day and try again tomorrow after Kat's training. The next day came and so did Naruto's training with Kat. It seemed to go by faster than he expected, and before he knew it, he was already home, resting on his bed and in his mind. Kyuubi watched as Naruto tried to do the sickle weasel technique, but couldn't get it. The fox could see that Naruto was visibly getting frustrated at this. Come on. Why can't I get this right? Naruto exclaimed and stomped his right foot in the water. He grit his teeth and clenched his fists, but before he could do more, something soft began petting his head. He looked up at the Kyuubi and saw that he was giving the boy an empathetic look. Listen kid, you can't expect to get something down from the get-go. You have to train hard to get it down right, plus, this is the first time you're using this technique, it's expected of you to not get it right away, Kyuubi told the boy who seemed to calm down slightly. Yeah, but I've been doing this for hours. I should have made at least a bit of improvement, but I've been stuck in the same spot since I first started. Naruto pointed out with a huff and crossed his arms. Part of training is seeing what you're doing wrong and finding a way to fix it. You just have to see what you could possibly be doing wrong and try to change it, Kyuubi advised and patted his back softly. Naruto sighed before nodding his head and resuming his training. He started focusing on his arm as he made the slicing motions. Maybe I'm not focusing my chakra on the distance. Naruto guessed as he focused his chakra to his right arm. Once Naruto did the hand seals necessary, he swiped horizontally, but as he was swiping, he forced the chakra in his right arm to pour out. After Naruto had done it, he could see that the breeze expanded a little bit away. He smiled as he was starting to make progress. Kyuubi also saw this and smirked a little. Did you see that, Kyuubi? I'm finally making progress. Naruto shouted in glee. You sure are, now keep at it, I feel like you're getting the hang of this, Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded and got back to focusing on his training. Soon, Naruto was able to make the light breeze go farther than it originally could and felt like that was a good note to leave it off for right now. Yes. I think I'm finally understanding this. Naruto stated with a foxy grin. Good job, kid, now rest up. We'll continue this later, Kyuubi complimented as he laid down. Naruto nodded before giving him a wide grin. Bye Kyuubi. The fox waved a tail as the boy fluttered his eyes open. He looked outside and saw that it was the afternoon. This day went by slowly, Naruto thought as he continued to stare outside his window. He was interrupted when Kat appeared in front of it unexpectedly. Naruto flinched but calmed down after realizing who it was. He opened the window and scowled at her. Come on, Kat-sensei. Don't scare me like that. Naruto scolded with a pout. Sorry, my cute little Naruto, but I brought you something. Kat announced as she revealed some books and scrolls. Oh, what are these for? Naruto asked and pointed at the books Kat was carrying. Well, they're for you, silly. These books are about the different chakra natures, the different types of techniques, Kekkei Genkai and Toda, chakra control, and the clans that reside in Konoha plus other villages. These all go in depth about each subject and you should be able to understand it pretty well. I figured this would help you understand some things when I'm not teaching you, Kat responded, handing Naruto each of the books. I'll also teach you chakra control once you get done with the Taijutsu training. The books and scrolls were heavy and thick, but Naruto was able to carry them with a little bit of difficulty. Oh, thank you, Kat-sensei. This helps a lot. Naruto thanked as he set the books down by his bed. Alright, I gotta go now, I'll see you tomorrow, Naruto. Cat informed as she ruffled his hair. The boy blushed but didn't mind it as he gave her a foxy grin. Alright, bye Cat-sensei. Cat teleported away, leaving a smiling Naruto with a stack of books and scrolls that would be really helpful. You won't let those books and scrolls be my replacement, right, kid? Kyuubi asked in a slight teasing voice. Naruto giggled as he read the cover of one of the books. I'm more of a visual learner, Kyuubi. I'll need you to show me how to do the techniques. Good, Kyuubi responded. Naruto giggled to himself before placing the book side by side. He looked at the Kekkei Genkai book and it had a picture of a red eye with a ring around the pupil and 3 tomo on the ring. Naruto cocked an eyebrow at it before opening the cover and going to the table of contents. Naruto saw the Sharingan and was reminded of what Kyuubi said. So this is the Sharingan that put you under control, Kyuubi? Naruto checked. Yes. The Sharingan is very powerful. You won't find much about it in a book like that, but once you see it in action you'll think otherwise. He began to read about it and how it was manifested from a man called Hagoromo Otsutsuki. His older son, Indra Otsutsuki, inherited the Sharingan from him. Naruto continued to read about its evolution to having 3 tomo and what it can do, but it was very vague. He pouted as the information of the Sharingan wasn't as in-depth as he thought it would be. There really isn't much about it. Only that it can copy other techniques, but not Kekkei Genkai or more, Naruto spoke. It's because the clan has to keep the more in-depth details a secret, Kyuubi answered. Why keep it a secret? In case other villages wanted to invade this one and were after the Sharingan secrets. It would be easily found if it were written in books that were available to the public, and who knows what they would do. I see, Naruto said and moved on to the next Kekkei Genkai, which was the Byakugan. Naruto spent the rest of the afternoon reading on the Kekkei Genkai book and was amazed at the different kinds of Kekkei Genkai there were. Man, it would be so cool to have a Kekkei Genkai. Naruto stated as he set the book down. You have something better than that, Kyuubi said, growing a smirk. I do. But what could be better than the Sharingan or Byakugan? Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow. You have me, the strongest tailed beast there is. Plus you have other things too, but you'll have to wait to figure those out. Oh, but I wanna know now. You'll just have to wait until you've become a genin. It's always having to become a genin. Why do I have to become a genin before knowing things? Because you'll learn to handle the things you learn better, plus I just think it's reasonable, Kyuubi responded. Naruto huffed before picking up his book again and reading the last of it. Night quickly fell on the boy as he was now on the Chakra Affinity book. He finished the Kekkei Genkai and Toda books a while ago, but there wasn't much in Kekkei Toda. Naruto was invested in the book until his stomach rumbled, reminding him that he needed to eat. Curse the stomach, Naruto whispered as he set the book down and stood up. He quickly stretched before getting out some ingredients to make his dinner. He was kinda sad he couldn't have his favorite food ever, but this was needed if he wanted to become strong. So, with his strong will, he made his healthy dinner. The couple days passed and Naruto was still struggling with the sickle weasel technique. He got the distance down pretty well, but it was forming the blade and making the wind stronger that was the hard part. He performed the technique and as the breeze went farther than it had been, he stared at his arm. I know that I have to build up chakra to make the distance greater, but why can't I form the blade or make the wind stronger? Naruto asked himself with a cocked eyebrow. Maybe I need to build up some active chakra for the power. Naruto nodded at his thoughts and quickly focused some chakra to his right arm as well as adding some active chakra in it. He formed the snake dragon bird hand seals. Wind release. Sickle weasel technique. Naruto then did the horizontal swipe and felt that the breeze became stronger than before. He openly smiled as he was making great progress. Oh yeah. I made the breeze stronger, Kyuubi. Naruto announced to the fox that was lying down a bit away from him. Kyuubi saw this and smiled. Great job, kid, keep up the good work and you'll get this technique down quick, Kyuubi encouraged. Naruto nodded with a determined smile before resuming his training. Kyuubi had been watching him the entire time and was starting to get close to what was wrong. He seems to be doing everything correctly. He noticed that he had to focus chakra in his arm and even add some active chakra, but why can't he form the blade? Kyuubi thought. He then stared at Naruto's arms and instantly realized why he couldn't form the blade. That's right, he can't use one arm to do it. That would be too much for him since he's just starting out, Kyuubi realized. He opened his mouth to tell the whiskered blonde but decided against it. The kid had to figure out how to fix the problem on his own. After a couple of tries, Naruto took a break and sat in the water. I can do it pretty well in my right arm, but I still can't make the blade, Naruto recalled, and he looked at his left arm. Maybe I can do it with my left. Figuring that Naruto should give it a try, he stood up and made the hand seals before swiping with his left arm. Unfortunately, the same thing occurred like his right arm. He stared at both of his arms before he got an idea. What if I do it at the same time? Naruto smirked and made the hand seals once again. Wind release. Sickle weasel technique. Naruto then swooped with both of his arms and the wind blade formed in front of him as it was launched forward. Naruto gasped and Kyuubi couldn't help but smirk. The blade traveled a bit before exploding into strong gusts of wind. Naruto's surprised face turned into a foxy grin as he celebrated his achievement. Yes. I did it. I did my first ninjutsu. He then ran over to Kyuubi and climbed him before standing on the bridge of his nose. I did it, Kyuubi. I actually did it. Naruto exclaimed with an excited grin. Kyuubi's smirk only grew more. Good job, Kit. You figured out what was wrong and fixed it by yourself, Kyuubi praised as he lifted one of his tails over himself and patted the boy's head with it. Naruto closed his eyes and kept his grin as one hand was on his hip and the other rubbed underneath his nose, accepting Kyuubi's praise. I knew I'd get this technique down easily. Naruto cockily stated. Now all you have to do is perfect it, Kyuubi said as he retrieved his tail. You got it. Naruto climbed back down and ran a bit away from Kyuubi before practicing the sickle weasel technique again. Months passed since Naruto finally learned how to do the sickle weasel technique. Kat taught him her Taijutsu style, her Kinjutsu style, some Shuriken Jutsu, a bit of Bukijutsu, and chakra control. After Naruto learned all of this from Kat, he began furiously training in these and even sparred against her when he thought he could take her, but he lost to her every time. Naruto also did some training with Kyuubi and was proficient in the fox's taijutsu and the sickle weasel technique. He even learned the great sickle weasel technique, a derived technique from the sickle weasel, but more powerful. Now he was practicing the great breakthrough technique that Kyuubi taught him how to do. Naruto went on to make the tiger ox dog rabbit snake hand seals. Wind release. Great breakthrough. Naruto took a deep breath in before blowing out from his mouth. He poured his chakra into his mouth before blowing, causing the wind to become more stronger, but it wasn't strong enough. He used Kyuubi as a tester of the strength of it. If Naruto could make Kyuubi's fur blow wildly, it was strong, but if it didn't really move, it was weak. As Naruto was making the seals, he gathered a lot of chakra in his mouth. Wind release. Great breakthrough. Naruto sucked in and blew. Kyuubi's fur noticeably moved a bit more furiously than his previous one. Naruto smiled as he was making progress faster than he and Kyuubi expected him to. I'm surprised, Kit. I'd never thought you'd be able to do so much at your age, Kyuubi complimented with a small smile. Naruto gave him a foxy grin and put his hands on his hips. Kat-sensei thinks so too. I'm just glad I have amazing senseis to teach me how to do these things. Kyuubi chuckled. He actually came to like the child. Never would he thought he would get along with Naruto. He thought he'd do the bare minimum to help him on the right path, but he did more than that and taught him a lot. Should he thank Kirai for threatening him to help the boy? It was a weird question, but he didn't dwell on it for long. I can't wait to attend the academy. I wonder if it'll be tough or a breeze. Naruto spoke as he sat against Kyuubi's side. Whether it's a breeze or not, be prepared for it and don't take it lightly, Kyuubi told the whiskered blonde. Don't worry, Kyuubi, I'll be prepared for anything. Naruto stated with a grin and a thumbs up. Kyuubi smirked at his response. But something's troubling me. What is it, Kit? Kyuubi asked. I want to learn how to do Fuinjutsu and barrier ninjutsu, but there's basically nothing on it, only advanced techniques that I don't really understand. I guess most of it's either a secret or got destroyed when Uzushiogakure did, Naruto assumed with a sigh. There's probably a whole section about them at the library that's only for Jounin and up, Kyuubi guessed. Yeah, but I can't just sneak into the library. Do it during the upcoming fox hunt. They're still doing that. I completely forgot. Yeah, they really have it out for you. It's whatever, but I'll do that. Next fox hunt, we're going to the library. Naruto announced with a smirk. The fox hunt of that week came and Naruto was ready as the sun was setting. The boy, dressed in a black shirt with a red swirl on the front and back with black shorts on with black sandals, was standing on top of a tall wooden post. The whiskered boy had a cocky smirk on as he watched the villagers. Hey! Naruto shouted, grabbing everyone's attention. He heard them talk amongst themselves about how he got there and that the demon fox arrived. It's fox hunt, right? You guys suck at this. How have you not killed me yet? I'm a child and you're all adults. Oh well, doesn't matter to me, you'll fail this time and always will. The villagers below him grew angry fast. Naruto's smirk turned into a grin as he jumped down. Edit. A villager shouted and Naruto ran away, knowing they'd chase him down the second he was on the ground. Naruto easily weaved past the buildings and the alleyways as he mapped out his route to first lose the villagers, then make his way to the library. After a few minutes of running away, he could still hear that people were chasing after him. Seems like they have more stamina than I thought, Naruto thought, and this time he jumped on the wall of a building before running up it. He quickly hopped to another roof and continued to roof hop until he could see the library in the distance. Not wanting people to see him traveling to the library on the roofs, he dropped down and began swiftly making his way through the alleys again. After a few minutes, Naruto was able to make it to the entrance of the Konoha library. He opened the door slowly and as quietly as he could before closing it behind himself once he entered. He looked around and saw that the librarian wasn't at their desk, so he stopped sneaking around and walked through the library normally. "Where would I begin to look for stuff on Fuinjutsu and barrier ninjutsu?" Naruto asked Kyuubi. "Look in the back," Kyuubi answered. Naruto nodded and made his way to the back of the library. He looked around the archives of hidden books and scrolls, trying to find anything about Fuinjutsu or barrier ninjutsu. Naruto snooped around the hidden place for a couple of minutes before finding the two things he was looking for. Seeing as there were a bunch of scrolls on the two techniques, Naruto picked up the first one and it was about Fuinjutsu. He opened it up and began skim reading the scroll. His eyes widened as he understood what the scroll was talking about. With a smirk, he put the scroll back and left the hidden archives. Naruto was at the librarian's desk and grabbed some blank scrolls from underneath it. He went back into the archives and unraveled all of the empty scrolls he gathered in front of the shelves of the two techniques. He began placing them on the empty scrolls and after he gathered them all, he put two fingers in front of his face and the scrolls were sealed inside the empty ones, now having pictures of the scrolls Naruto placed on them. The whiskered blonde picked up the scrolls and set them on his back. "Mission accomplished, Kyuubi," Naruto informed with a smirk. "It's not over yet, you still have to get home safely," Kyuubi pointed out. Naruto's smile faded as he realized he had to get back. And now it was going to be harder with scrolls weighing him down. "Oh right, but I believe I can get home safely, it'll just take a bit longer and I'll have to be more careful." And with that decided, Naruto left the library and carefully made his way back to his apartment. Chapter 3. Academy. It's been 3 years since Naruto learned about Fuinjutsu and barrier ninjutsu. He studied it as much as he could understand while also training in his other aspects. He learned more wind techniques from Kyuubi and also trained in the taijutsu style Kyuubi taught him. Naruto also tried to use fire techniques and somehow was able to learn it pretty quickly. Kyuubi didn't know why we could, but he thought it was either from him being Naruto's tailed beast or it was that demon's affinity. Speaking of that weird affinity, Naruto couldn't use it, nor did he feel it inside of him, which was strange to the fox. But now, Naruto could use a good amount of wind and fire techniques. The fox was proud of him for making it so far, and Naruto of course was extremely happy that he could do so much this early in his life. Now, it was a week before the academy started and Naruto had challenged Kat Sensei, thinking he was ready to finally take her mask off. The two of them were standing in their training ground. "Are you sure you're ready this time, Naruto?" Kat asked. "Whether I'm ready or not doesn't matter, the academy starts in a week and I need to take your mask off now," Naruto responded. "Very well. Taijutsu and ninjutsu are allowed. I won't be using any ninjutsu, but you're free to do so," Kat told as she got into a fighting stance. Naruto nodded and did the same, but it was different from Kat's. "Huh? I didn't teach him that stance, did I?" Kat asked herself, but she didn't have much time to dwell on it as Naruto took off and rushed her. All Kat could do was block as Naruto jumped in the air and swiped down at her. Naruto pushed off of Kat's arm and quickly began making the snake ram boar horse bird hand seals. "Wind release. Gale palm," Naruto exclaimed as he clasped his hands together, sending out a strong gale towards Kat. Kat covered her face with her arms but was being pushed back. Naruto then gathered chakra in his mouth and turned it into oil while dividing it up. Naruto quickly made the snake ram monkey boar horse tiger hand seals. Fire release. Flame bullet. Naruto then spit out the oil in his mouth into the gale palm as it ignited. As the flame bullets were traveling through the gale palm that was still up, the fire began to grow bigger and didn't look like mere bullets anymore. Kat was shocked at seeing this and stopped resisting the wind. She let it push her back and she rolled with the gale, avoiding the fire technique just barely. After the gale palm was over and the flame bullet erupted against some unfortunate trees, Kat stood up and brushed herself off. "Well, I certainly didn't expect you to do that," Kat admitted with a little chuckle. Naruto smirked. "I've learned a lot of things, Kat Sensei, and I'll show you." Naruto quickly made rat tiger dog ox rabbit tiger hand seals. High release. Phoenix Age fire technique. Naruto then spat out a fireball in the air and more fireballs surrounded it. He then controlled the fireballs and they landed around Kat, trapping her in a ring of fire. He then made the snake dragon bird hand seals. Wind release. Sickle weasel technique. Naruto set his arms back and swung them past each other. The air surrounding the ring of fire collided with each other before making a tornado and started consuming the flames as well. A second later and the fire tornado grew in size. Naruto smirked but then ducked as a kick flew by his head. He rolled forward and turned around to see Kat. Naruto genuinely looked surprised to see her there and not in the tornado. His combination technique ended and he looked to see a severely cut up and burnt log in place of Kat. "Whoa, how'd you do that?" Naruto asked as he looked back at Kat. "It's a body replacement technique, didn't I teach you that?" Kat asked as she slightly tilted her head. Naruto shook his head. "Oh, sorry, guess I forgot. Well, alright, quick lesson. Before you're struck by a harmful attack, you simply switch yourself out with something else." "Really? Do you just feel it, or?" "It's kinda hard to explain, so let's see if you can do it yourself," Kat answered as she took out 4 shuriken. "Don't jump out of the way from these and see if you can pull it off. I won't be hitting any vital points in case you don't do it." Naruto nodded and took a deep breath. Kat threw the 4 shuriken at him and right before they could hit him, he felt something tug at him. Naruto tugged back and right as the shuriken struck him, he switched out with a log. Naruto appeared on a tree branch and inspected himself. "Whoa. That was so cool." Naruto exclaimed with a grin. He heard clapping and looked at Kat. "Nice job, Naruto. Seems like you got it the first try." Kat congratulated. Naruto nodded and pushed off the tree branch. As he landed on the ground, he rushed Kat. The two of them instantly engaged in a taijutsu battle and Naruto was trying to strike her in the most painful spots, but she kept on blocking him. Naruto went for a low kick and Kat jumped over, but then Naruto fully spun on his hand before launching at Kat with the same foot he tried to kick her with. Naruto's kick successfully hit Kat's stomach and forced her to fly back. The Anbu Kunoichi quickly did a back handspring and covered her stomach. Naruto's gotten a lot better. "I think it's time to turn the tide now," Kat thought as she stood up straight. She was about to rush Naruto, but he instead was on her once again. Kat was forced to be defensive as she avoided or blocked Naruto's strikes. "Damn it, I don't remember teaching him how to do this." Naruto went for a roundhouse kick and Kat leaned back to avoid it, but as she did she saw a bit of fire flicker off of the bottom of his sandal. Kat did another back handspring to try and get some distance, but Naruto wouldn't let her. He quickly made the tiger ox dog rabbit snake hand seals while gathering chakra in his mouth. Wind release. Great breakthrough. Naruto blew out and caused great gusts of wind to launch straight at Kat. She didn't have enough time to react as she was blown away and was now in the air. Naruto made the snake ram boar horse bird hand seals and clasped his hands together before aiming them at the ground. Wind release. Gale palm. Naruto shot out a strong gale from his palms and was launched into the air. He took a second to correct himself to be aligned with Kat before doing the same hand seals and aiming his hands behind him. Wind release. Gale palm. Naruto was sent flying towards Kat who had trouble trying to correct herself thanks to the great breakthrough technique. The other wind technique finally stopped and Kat was about to correct herself when Naruto came flying at her and grabbed her mask. He took it off before landing and rolling away. Kat did a backflip before landing and felt around for her mask, only to realize it wasn't on her face. "I got your mask off, Kat-sensei," Naruto announced as he proudly waved it in the air. Kat turned to look at him and her eyes widened as she saw her mask in Naruto's hands. Naruto had a foxy grin with his eyes closed, but once he opened them to look at Kat, he stopped waving the mask and stared at her face, mouth dropping slightly. Kat had soft brown eyes and red lipstick which, in Naruto's opinion, made her look beautiful. "Beautiful," Naruto whispered, but Kat heard it and giggled as she lightly blushed. "Why thank you," Kat thanked as she stood in front of Naruto. He couldn't stop staring at her face as she grabbed her mask from him. "Well, I guess since you've seen my face, it's only right you get to know my name." Naruto was brought out of his stupor as he shook his head and widely smiled. "Really? Yep. You did really well, my cute little Naruto," Kat replied as she rubbed his hair, making him lightly blush. "Let's reintroduce ourselves. Hello, I'm Yugao Yuzuki," Kat introduced with a warm smile. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you, Yugao," Naruto introduced with a thumbs up and a grin. Yugao couldn't help but giggle. "Okay, Naruto, this is a secret between you and me, okay? You can call me my name when I'm not wearing my gear and mask on or if we're in private, but when I am and we're in public, you have to call me Kat, okay? You got it?" Naruto responded with a wide smile. "Great, now rest up. The academy starts in a week and you need to decide what clothes you're going to wear," Yugao told the whiskered blonde. "Ah. You're completely right. I forgot about clothes," Naruto said as his hands rushed to his head. "Oh man, what am I gonna wear?" "Calm down, silly." Yugao giggled as she lightly bopped Naruto's nose. "You'll figure it out, but for now, take a break." Naruto nodded and before Yugao disappeared, she kissed Naruto's forehead. Naruto," Yugao whispered and she teleported away. Naruto was left there in surprise at the action. He smiled and quickly left the training ground to go rest. It had almost been a week. Naruto visited the Sandaime Hokage to see if he could join and he permitted Naruto to join. Naruto received a note telling him his classroom number as well. The whiskered blonde also used his favor for Yugao. Tomorrow was the day of the academy and Naruto was deciding on what to wear. He had on his bed an orange and blue jacket with orange pants next to it and blue open-toed sandals. He had a hand placed on his chin as he looked at the three pieces of clothing and a smile formed on his face as he considered wearing it. Naruto Kyuubi spoke. Naruto was alerted at Kyuubi using his actual name instead of Kit. Something had to be up for the fox to use his actual name. Something wrong, Kyuubi? Naruto asked. Yes, I know you're not considering wearing that when you attend the academy, Kyuubi responded. What's wrong with this? It's perfect for me. Naruto said. What do you mean what's wrong with it? Everything's wrong with it. That shade of orange with the blue is horrendous. Are you trying to insult me and the color orange? Kyuubi questioned as he began pointing out the clothing's flaws. But I think it looks fine. Plus, I want people to notice me, you know. I don't want to be looked over. Naruto argued. People are bound to look over you with that hideous jacket and pants. They don't want to see that. Naruto scowled and groaned. Fine, then what should I wear? Wear the black and white outfit, that looks far better than this, Kyuubi answered with a smile. Naruto sighed and went over to his closet. He returned and placed the clothing on the bed. He looked it over once and cocked an eyebrow at the outfit. You sure this looks good? I'm telling you, Kit, it looks far better than the orange outfit, Kyuubi reassured his Jinchuriki. Alright, if you say so. Tomorrow came rather quickly and Naruto was just now getting his clothes on as he was making breakfast. Once he got them on, he now focused on finishing making it. Naruto was wearing a black headband with a white swirl on it. He had a white shirt underneath an open, hoodless black cloak with rolled-up sleeves and a white swirl on the back. He also had on black pants and black open-toed sandals on. Naruto finished making his breakfast and carried it over to the table. As he sat down he instantly dug in. You ready for the first day at the academy? Kyuubi asked with a smirk. As ready as I'll ever be. Man, I just wanna hurry up and become a genin already. I can't wait to release you from your seal. Naruto exclaimed. Kyuubi chuckled. So impatient, just wait, Kit, you'll release me eventually. Naruto widely smiled as he continued eating. Once he was done, he cleaned up and left his apartment. Naruto ran through the streets of Konoha, ignoring all of the glares and looks the villagers sent his way and keeping his smile on his face. He avoided random things thrown at him and a small mob that chased him. He made sure that nothing would ruin this day. Naruto jumped on the side of a building and began running across it before jumping off of it and landing on a wooden post for only a second and jumped on top of a roof. Naruto could see the academy in the distance and decided to pick up the pace. The blonde made it to the academy entrance and a grin was plastered on his face as he looked at the building in front of him. He ignored the other looks the kids gave him. They must have recognized that he's the kid their parents told them to stay away from. Naruto took out the note and looked at it. My classroom is A5, alright. He pocketed the note and walked into the academy with the other kids. As Naruto walked down the hallway, he looked around in hopes of finding his class. He soon found the classroom and grinned. Naruto ran over to the door and opened it. When he looked inside, he saw that there were only a few people in there. Naruto saw a boy sitting near the front of the classroom with black, spiky hair. He was wearing a high-collared navy blue short-sleeved shirt with wide arm warmers. Naruto had to take a minute to realize that was Sasuke Uchiha and he was just brooding in the corner. What happened to him? He was more cheery last time I saw him, Naruto thought as he took a seat near the middle of the classroom. The Uchiha massacre happened, remember? You were coming back from training and saw the bodies near the Uchiha compound, Kyuubi recalled. Oh, that's right, was he a survivor of that? Naruto asked as he stared at the brooding child. Seems like it, Kyuubi responded with a sigh. The classroom soon filled up with more and more students, but Naruto didn't notice as he decided to hang out with Kyuubi before class started. You don't have to be here, Kit, Kyuubi informed as he looked at Naruto sitting on his nose. There's nothing better to do out there other than wait, Naruto pointed out. You could try and talk to the other students, Kyuubi suggested with a light shrug. Yeah, and get told off because their parents told them to not talk to me. I'll pass, Naruto retorted as he huffed and closed his eyes. I think there might be one student who wouldn't mind talking to you. And who would that be? The Hyuga daughter. Hinata, Kyuubi responded. Naruto opened his eyes and scanned the room for this Hinata Hyuga that Kyuubi mentioned. She's behind you, Kyuubi informed. Naruto leaned his head back and looked near the back to see a girl with short dark blue hair and strange lavender eyes. She was wearing a cream-colored jacket with fire symbols on both of the upper sleeves. Naruto realized he was staring at her for too long when the girl blushed and looked away. He shook his head and faced forward. I think I've seen her before, but I dunno where. Naruto thought as he scratched his head. When you were younger, you helped her when she was being bullied. You beat the bullies up pretty badly, Kyuubi answered. Naruto took a moment to remember and he smiled when he did. You're right, I did. I should definitely go talk to her to see if she's alright. Naruto thought as he got up. He made his way over to Hinata and took the seat next to her. Hinata looked at the boy who sat next to her and her mouth was slightly open. Hey. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. You're Hinata, right? Naruto greeted with a wide smile. Oh, you why yes, I'm Hinata. Hinata H. Hyuga, Hinata stuttered with a small smile and red tinting her cheeks. What a surprise that you're in this class too, right? How are you after what happened that day? You didn't get bullied again, did you? Naruto quizzed the Hyuga daughter. Oh. And no, I'm fine. Thank you for sticking up for me, I'm sorry for causing you so much trouble, Hinata apologized as she put her head down. Naruto lost his smile to a frown as he saw her apologizing. He thought about what to do when he got an idea. Naruto placed his hand on her head and rubbed it. Hinata shot her head up and looked at the whiskered blonde with wide eyes and a redder face. Don't apologize, Hinata. I'm glad I helped you when I could, Naruto stated with a foxy grin. He looked at his original spot and saw it got taken. He silently cursed at that, but he turned to Hinata. You don't mind if I sit here, do you? Naruto asked. Oh, and not at all. Hinata responded while shaking her head. Naruto gave her a small smile, and just then, a Chunin with brown hair and a ponytail and a scar on his nose entered the classroom. Alright. Everyone's here, yes? He asked as he got to his desk and looked at all of his students. Just to make sure, we'll do attendance. When I say your name, you say here. Naruto sighed and rested his hand on his chin, tuning out his Chunin teacher for a minute until his name was called. Naruto could only replay the information about the different Kekkei Genkai he read in his book. He remembered the information about the Sharingan and how the Uchiha clan supposedly derived from Indra Otsutsuki, meaning they were the ones to get the eyes. After remembering this, Naruto's eyes shot toward Sasuke. Sasuke's an Uchiha, he has to have the Sharingan, right? Naruto assumed. Yes, but if he can use it proficiently is unknown, Kyuubi added. Naruto slightly nodded and then remembered the Byakugan. The Hyuga clan were the ones to inherit this Taijutsu from the Otsutsuki clan, but it's said to come from Himura Otsutsuki, Hagoromo's younger brother. Naruto then looked at Hinata and stared into her eyes. They look weird, but I can't stop looking at them, Naruto admitted as he closed his eyes. Naruto Uzumaki. The Chunin in the front called out. Naruto lifted his head off of his hand and smiled brightly. Here. Alright. That's all for attendance. Now the Chunin teacher picked up a piece of chalk and began writing on the chalkboard. My name is Iruka Yamino. You may call me Iruka-sensei or Yamino-sensei, whichever one you're comfortable with. To start off, we'll begin with math. Before Iruka could finish his sentence, the whole class groaned. Iruka then scowled as he glared at his students. What's wrong? Math, are you serious right now? A boy asked with a cocked eyebrow. Yeah, we're ninja, aren't we? We shouldn't be wasting our time doing math, a girl added. No, you're not ninja, you're trying to become ninja. There's a difference. But fine, since everyone thinks that math isn't worth it, we'll move on to our first shinobi lesson. Taijutsu. Everyone, we're going to the front of the school, let's go. Iruka ordered as he left the classroom. Everyone cheered as they jumped up from their seats and followed Iruka to the front of the school. Naruto took his time getting up. I get that this is boring, but isn't this necessary regardless? Naruto asked as he watched the kids rush to meet Iruka. You're old brats who think being a shinobi is only about learning cool techniques, you think they'd care about math? Kyuubi answered. Naruto sighed as his head dropped down. I guess you're right, Naruto agreed. He was about to walk off, but then noticed Hinata was still sitting down. You alright, Hinata? Naruto asked. Hinata yelped as she looked around and met Naruto's eyes. Oh why yes, I'm fine. Naruto could see that she was nervous about something, it was probably the sudden Taijutsu lesson. You're worried about the Taijutsu lesson, right? Naruto guessed with a small smirk. Why yes, Hinata confirmed as she put her head down. Naruto walked up to her and rubbed her head. You don't have to worry, I'll be there to support you, believe it. Naruto told the Hyuga daughter with a grin and a thumbs up. Hinata couldn't help but smile and blush at the gesture. Right. Naruto and Hinata made it to the front of the school and joined the line where the other kids were. Alright, since you guys seem to be impatient about learning shinobi lessons, that's what we'll be prioritizing over general studies. What we're doing now is Taijutsu spars. This will let me know how each one of you fights and if you need help or improvements. Now, these matchups are randomized and you will fight fairly. First matchup. Naruto watched in boredom as the kids fought each other. The one thought he had in his mind was, they all needed to train more. As he analyzed the fights, if you can even call them that, he thought about what the kids could have done, shouldn't have done, and what they need to work on. But overall, the kids were just throwing random punches and kicks. There were some intriguing fights, but nothing that piqued Naruto's interest. Most of the clan kids did, but that was all. The civilian kids didn't bring anything interesting to the table, like Sakura Haruno for example. In Naruto's opinion, she is cute, but that's all she has going for her, and yet she's somehow tied with Ino Yamanaka, a clan kid. Naruto expected Ino to wipe the floor with her, but his expectations were a tad too high it seemed. Choji and Shikamaru's fight ended as soon as it started with Shikamaru forfeiting, because Choji didn't want to hurt him. Naruto could kind of see why Shikamaru did that and respected it. Hinata Hyuga vs Ayano Takenaka, Haruka announced as he looked up from his clipboard. Hinata put her hands to her chest as her eyes widened. Naruto put his hand on her head and rubbed it. "You'll do fine, Hinata, believe it." Naruto encouraged her with his foxy grin. Hinata stared at him for a minute in surprise before shaking it off and smiling at him. "Right." Hinata moved up to the large white circle and stood in front of Haruka. Her opponent, another girl with long brown hair and dark green eyes, took her place across from Hinata. "Hinata, you can fight without your Byakugan, right?" Haruka asked as he looked at the Hyuga daughter. Hinata looked back at him. "Yes, Haruka-sensei." Haruka smiled at that. "Good. Then let the spar begin." Ayano rushed Hinata and went for a right punch, but Hinata deflected it and hit her chest with her right palm. The girl coughed up a bit of saliva and staggered back as she held her chest. Hinata took the chance to rush the girl and hit her chest again, but sent her flying out of the circle. "Hinata wins," Haruka announced and wrote something on the clipboard. Hinata smiled as she went back to Naruto. "Good job, Hinata, you owned her." Naruto praised her as he rubbed her head. Hinata blushed as she received the compliment. "Thank you, and Naruto," Hinata whispered, unconsciously leaning into his touch. Final match. Naruto vs Sasuke, Haruka said as he looked up at the line of kids. The two boys who were to spar next made it up in front of Haruka, facing each other. Naruto didn't know why, but he felt like he could beat Sasuke without even trying. "Destroy him, Sasuke." A voice that sounded like Ino shouted. "You can do it, Sasuke, beat him up." Sakura added. Naruto closed his eyes and sighed in annoyance as the girls began cheering for Sasuke. He looked to the side and saw that Hinata wasn't cheering for Sasuke, which made him inwardly smile. "You can fight without the Sharingan, right Sasuke?" Haruka asked the Uchiha. Sasuke nodded as his eyes remained on Naruto. "Okay, let the spar begin." Haruka backed up as Sasuke made the first move. He instantly went for Naruto's face, but the whiskered blonde blocked it with one arm. Naruto shoved Sasuke back and rushed the Uchiha. He went for an overhead punch, and when Sasuke went to block it, Naruto purposely missed and planted his hand on the ground. Using the momentum, the whiskered blonde kicked off the ground and slammed his heel on Sasuke's head, sending the Uchiha's face into the ground. Naruto finished the motion and jumped back. "Maybe I should go on the defensive to give him a chance," Naruto thought as he waited for the Uchiha to get up. Sasuke picked his head up and glared at Naruto while gritting his teeth. Naruto put his hands in his pockets, which made Sasuke even angrier. "He's not even taking me seriously," Sasuke thought. "I'll show him that's a mistake." The Uchiha charged at the whiskered blonde and began throwing punches. Naruto didn't bother taking his hands out of his pockets and unknowingly had a bored expression on his face. Sasuke's eyes widened and he screamed as he threw a punch aimed straight for Naruto's face, but Naruto shoved it out of the way with his right arm and uppercutted Sasuke with his left. Sasuke flew back and landed on his ass. He rubbed his chin as he glared at Naruto. Naruto sighed as he shifted his weight to one leg. "It's time to end this." Sasuke shot up and charged at Naruto. He jumped up and tried to roundhouse kick him, but the blonde blocked it easily. Naruto then grabbed his leg and spun around before throwing him out of the circle. "Alright, that's enough. Naruto wins," Haruka announced as he wrote something on the clipboard. No one cheered for Naruto, but instead stared at him in disbelief. The boy looked at Hinata, who was smiling, and he smiled back. He was about to move, but then he heard the Uchiha gruff. "Come on and make the unison sign so we can move on," Haruka told the two boys. Naruto nodded and met Sasuke in the middle of the circle. He put his two fingers down, and Sasuke stared at them with a glare before looking up at Naruto. The whiskered blonde was secretly making hand seals with his pocketed hand for a technique he came up with the help of Kyuubi. High release. Scorching limbs. Naruto thought as the hand in his pocket started turning into black ash with fiery cracks in it. Naruto's shoes also flared up a bit of fire as Sasuke's hand went straight for Naruto's neck. Naruto's other hand that was forming the unison sign quickly slapped Sasuke's hand away and struck his forehead, making him stumble back. Naruto then did a high kick and struck Sasuke's cheek. As the foot that kicked Sasuke came down touched the ground, Naruto spun on that foot and kicked Sasuke's chest with his other foot, sending him flying and tumbling against the ground. W Naruto. Haruka shouted at the whiskered blonde as his fire technique went away. The boy looked at Haruka with an apologetic smile. Sorry, Haruka-sensei, but you did see Sasuke go for my neck, right? It looked like he was trying to kill me. Naruto explained his actions. Haruka sighed before shaking his head. Whatever, everyone go back inside so we can get started on the next shinobi lesson, Haruka instructed. The kids made their way back inside in silence and shock at Naruto beating Sasuke. Haruka watched as Naruto and Hinata stayed behind a bit before walking into the academy chatting with each other. The Chunin's attention then went to the Uchiha as he was now sitting up, rubbing his cheek and forehead. Haruka went over to him and crouched down, holding a hand out to the boy. You need some help? Haruka offered with a small smile. Sasuke scoffed and slapped the hand away before getting up on his own and walking towards the academy. Haruka sighed as he watched the boy go inside. The teacher's mind instantly went back to when Naruto defended himself against Sasuke's sudden attack. That was definitely some form of ninjutsu Naruto used, but when did he learn it? Haruka asked himself before standing up. Oh well, it's not worth dwelling on right now, I have kids to teach. After the kids were seated back into the classroom and Haruka reorganized his papers, he moved on to the next lesson which went more into depth of taijutsu. As the boring lesson about it droned on, Naruto hung out with Kyuubi. You have a bad habit of coming here during lessons, you know, Kyuubi pointed out. Then you blame me? I already know this stuff, it's annoying having to hear it again, Naruto replied. And whose fault is that for skipping ahead? Kyuubi asked with a smirk. Hey. I didn't know I'd be skipping all of this stuff by studying. Naruto defended as he shot up. The fox couldn't help but chuckle. Only 4 years of the same things over and over again until you graduate, Kyuubi brought up. Naruto loudly groaned. Man, this is gonna take forever. I should just graduate right now. Listen to Cat Kit, she recommended you the 4 years, so you're going to do the 4 years. Yeah, but it's a recommendation for a reason, isn't it, Kyuubi? Naruto retorted as he crossed his arms. Do not try to get smart with me, Kit. A recommendation is a recommendation and not a suggestion. A recommendation is suggesting something to be the best course of action, a suggestion is an idea put forward for consideration, Kyuubi explained in his best sage voice possible. Naruto could only huff at that. If you're so bored, why not practice some techniques? Naruto relaxed his face as he thought about it. I mean, I guess I could do that. Alright, since I'm feeling generous, I'm going to teach you a fire technique that covers all ranges, so follow closely, Kyuubi told as he sat up. Naruto watched his hands closely as Kyuubi began. The fox made the rat ox dog horse monkey boar tiger hand seals. Fire release. Great fire destruction. Kyuubi sucked in and then blew fire from his mouth. Naruto watched in amazement as the fire stretched out a long distance and he could still feel the intense heat the giant flame was giving off. Kyuubi stopped blowing and looked at the whiskered blonde. Now, the way to do this is to simply convert the chakra within you to fire before using this technique. Really? That's it? Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow. Kyuubi nodded and Naruto stepped up. He then went on to make the rat ox dog horse monkey boar tiger hand seals as he converted his chakra to fire. Fire release. Great fire destruction. Naruto sucked in and blew out a small flame that went a short distance. It had the heat intensity, just not the distance nor the size. Naruto stopped blowing and looked confused while Kyuubi chuckled. He whipped his head at the fox. Hey. Why are you laughing? I forgot to tell you that you should probably have some chakra built up in your mouth to make the distance go farther. Also, you should build up more chakra to make the flame bigger. Naruto lowly growled as he quickly turned around and tried it again, this time he built up a lot of chakra in his body and a bit of it in his mouth as he blew. The flame went a longer distance than the first time and it was noticeably bigger. He stopped blowing to celebrate. Sweet. I easily got that technique down. Naruto exclaimed with a foxy grin. Now pay attention or else you'll get called on, Kyuubi told. Naruto groaned but listened to his fox friend. Naruto blinked and he looked up to see Haruka writing something on the board. Which class was this again? It was taijutsu, right? Naruto, what is required to use taijutsu? Haruka randomly asked as he finished writing something on the board. Everyone turned to look at him. The whiskered blonde's eyes widened at the sudden question. The boy read the board and saw that Haruka was explaining the 2 kinds of chakra and didn't get to the part he asked Naruto. Physical and mental energies are required, Naruto answered. Good job, Haruka complimented as he gave Naruto a curt head nod before turning to the board and explaining further on what Naruto said. Naruto rested his head on his hand and tried to listen to the lesson, but simply couldn't. Naruto woke up to someone lightly pushing him. He opened an eye and saw Hinata next to him. Oh. Why, you're awake? Hinata yelped as she backed up. Naruto opened both eyes and stretched as he let out a yawn. He looked around the room and saw that no one else was in there besides him and Hinata. Where'd everyone go? Naruto asked as he shot up. See, class ended a while ago. We finished the basics of Taijutsu lesson and went over some of the basic Taijutsu styles. You slept through the whole thing, Hinata informed the blonde. Naruto groaned and he sat down. And no one bothered to wake me up? He asked, already knowing the answer. I am sorry. I would have woken you up, but Hinata blushed as she averted her eyes and her voice was but a whisper. Why you look so peaceful when you slept? I didn't want to wake you up. Naruto looked at the blushing girl next to him for a moment before smiling and rubbing her head. She looked up at him. It's okay, Hinata, I probably would have known the material anyway, Naruto said, forgiving Hinata easily. Also thanks for staying here with me. Hinata's blush grew more red as she put her head back down. Oh, she's so cute when she's red. Naruto thought with a foxy grin. Stop teasing the poor girl and go home, Kyuubi spoke, making Naruto glare. He then sighed and stopped rubbing Hinata's head. Alright Hinata, let's go home. Hinata, a bit sad, stopped rubbing her head and much to her chagrin, nodded as they stood up and left the building. The two of them began talking on their way home. Naruto was leading Hinata to her clan compound without her even knowing as she was enjoying herself talking to her crush and getting to know him better. It took them a bit, but they got to the Hyuga compound and Hinata was honestly surprised Naruto led her home without her giving him directions or even noticing. Well, see you later Hinata. Naruto said as he gave her his signature foxy grin. Bye Naruto. See you tomorrow. Hinata entered the gates of her compound and Naruto was left alone. His grin turned into a smile as he ran towards a building and began roof hopping to his apartment. Time passed and Naruto hadn't learned a single new thing from the academy yet. It had been 5 months since he first started and Iruka went over stuff he already knew. But he did get something good out of it. He made Sasuke even more pissed and broodier because he couldn't beat the whiskered blonde whenever they fought and he also became really good friends with Hinata. The two of them would mostly hang out after the academy and would mindlessly walk around, going wherever the wind would take them. The two of them would sometimes spar and Naruto would beat her, but Hinata would get some wins under her belt. Although Naruto learned the hard way to never call Hinata chubby. That was no go. Naruto and Hinata were sitting by a tree in one of the parks. It was dark out and they were both enjoying each other's company with a small picnic in between them. They finished their food, which mostly consisted of sweets, and Hinata ate the most out of the two. Naruto noticed this. Naruto grabbed the last cinnamon roll and closed his eyes while biting the sweet treat. I guess I should call you chubby from now on with how many sweets you ate. You almost ate all of them. I'm impressed, Naruto stated. Did open your eyes, Kyuubi spoke. Naruto did so and almost choked on the snack as Hinata was staring into his soul. Naruto swallowed and stared back at Hinata, worried for his life. Hinata. What are you doing? Hinata got even closer as her face turned into an angry one. Naruto, could you repeat that? I think I misheard something come out of your mouth. Naruto quickly realized he fucked up calling her chubby and couldn't take it back. Hinata. It was an accident, a slip of the tongue. Why yeah. Naruto defended himself as he set the treat down. Slip of the tongue huh? Well since we're going by that I guess I can accidentally severely hurt you, no. Hinata said in a serious tone as her Byakugan was activated, scaring Naruto even more. Naruto screamed and ducked as Hinata tried to use her gentle fist on him, but instead blew a hole through the tree, making it fall over. Naruto scrambled to his feet and ran away from the area as fast as he could. Come back, Naruto. You have to pay for what you said. Hinata shouted as she gave chase. Would sorry be enough he asked as he ran up the side of a building. No. Sorry won't cut it for this occasion, Hinata stated. She jumped high in the air and was about to land on the roof. Naruto didn't waste another second and ran away, a scary Hyuga ex-heiress chasing after him late in the night because of what he said. The only reason she didn't kill him was because when she caught up to him, they tripped and she accidentally kissed him, which caused her to madly blush and faint. Naruto was, thankfully, saved for another day. But other than that, Hinata was starting to come out of her shy shell around him and didn't stutter. She was now comfortable around him and he the same. Now, Naruto was sleeping before the class started and Hinata walked up to him. She placed a cinnamon roll in front of him and tapped his shoulder, eating her own. Naruto picked his head up and saw the cinnamon roll in front of him. He smiled as he picked it up and unwrapped it before eating it. Thanks, Hinata, Naruto replied tiredly. Hinata giggled and she took her seat next to him. Naruto couldn't help but replay the giggle in his head, it was so adorable. Harem so far, help it expand by suggesting. Amaru, Hinata, Ino, Mei, Shion, Temari, Tenten, Yakumo Ido. Chapter 4. Genin. It had been 4 years since Naruto went to the academy. He barely learned anything new and he thought he'd learn Jinjutsu in the Jinjutsu class, but he didn't. They went over how it worked and how to know if you were trapped in one. Other than that letdown, nothing else happened. His relationship with Hinata grew exponentially and they became close friends. He'd even met her little sister at least 5 times, but she didn't say anything to him. Guess even the little kids of the Hyuga know to stay away from and hate him. Sasuke became more of an annoyance every time he tried to challenge Naruto, which he'd lose and grew more angry. His fangirls still admired him somehow and didn't think twice that maybe Sasuke wasn't all he was meant to be, but it wasn't his problem that his fangirls were blind. Honestly, even Hinata could beat him without even trying, and that's saying something. But it was thanks to her and Naruto's many sparring matches that it was possible. Now, it was time for the graduation exam. Naruto's class had already taken the written exam, now it was time for the other part to show if you could use the clone technique. He tried to practice it, but he couldn't get it right, and Kyuubi couldn't help him because he didn't know how to do it. Well, he did, but Kirai came by and kept his mouth shut. Naruto was waiting impatiently for his turn to be called. He was silently tapping his right foot repeatedly against the floor and his fingers tapped each other. Hinata, who got her hit I-8, saw this and attempted to calm down her friend. Naruto, Hinata spoke as she placed a hand on his shoulder. Naruto stopped his fidgeting and whipped his head at Hinata. Calm down. You've got this. Naruto took a deep breath and nodded with a smile. You're right, thanks Hinata. Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka called from the door. Naruto stood up and went down to meet his sensei. Hinata silently wished him good luck as he left the classroom. Naruto was standing in an empty room with Iruka and a white-haired chunin named Mizuki. Naruto didn't know why, but Mizuki seemed off to him. The way he smiled and looked at him looked like it meant no harm, but something told Naruto that there was something beneath that smile. Alright Naruto, transform into the Hokage, Iruka said. Naruto nodded and made the dog boar ram hand seals. Transformation technique. A puff of smoke appeared where Naruto was and as it cleared, Naruto transformed into Hiruzen Sarutobi perfectly. Great job, Naruto. Looks exactly like him, Iruka complimented with a head nod. Naruto transformed back and smiled. Now, substitute yourself with the chair. Iruka pulled out a kunai and threw it at Naruto's foot. Naruto made the tiger boar ox dog snake hand seals. He tugged at the chair and in a puff of smoke, they switched places right as the kunai hit his foot. Good job. Now, for the last one, perform the clone technique and make 3 good clones. Naruto gulped as he nodded. From the corner of his eye, he could have sworn he saw Mizuki smirking. Naruto did the ram snake tiger hand seals and closed his eyes as he prayed this would work. Clone technique. He only heard one puff of smoke appear and looked to his right to see a ghostly pale and pathetic version of himself just on the ground. Naruto looked at it with worry and looked back at Iruka, who sighed. I'm sorry Naruto, but you've failed, Iruka said with a shake of his head. Oh come on, Iruka, you should cut him some slack. I mean, he tried his best, and I think we should let him pass because of it, Mizuki voiced as he turned to his Chunin partner. I'd like to but he needs to make at least 2 solid clones to pass and just look at that one, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, Naruto Iruka said. Naruto only nodded as he left the room. He spent 4 years at this academy only to not be able to pass. Naruto was wretched. If only he could get a handle of how to do the clone technique, why was that so hard for him to learn? He tried and tried but just couldn't get it. Hinata watched the door and waited. She waited for a while and knew that something was wrong since Naruto hadn't come back yet. She got up and made her way out of the door. Soon, the passing students walked out of her classroom and were making their way outside. Hinata followed the crowd, hoping she'd find Naruto somewhere. When she made her way outside, she instantly spotted Naruto on the swing just staring into nothingness with the word miserable written all over his face. She wanted to go over to him and comfort him, but there were just too many parents and kids blocking her path. She was about to continue, but then a white-haired Chunin came up to him and told him something. Naruto furrowed his brow before looking up at the man and saying something back. The man replied, and Naruto looked away before finally standing up and following him. Was that Mizuki-sensei? What did he want with Naruto? Hinata asked herself as she stopped trying to get through the crowd and easily made it to the clearing. She watched the swing set, holding a fist to her heart. I hope you're alright Naruto. You know, Iruka-sensei's tough, but he's not against you, Mizuki spoke as he stared at the sun slowly descending. Yeah I know that but it just hurts, you know. Out of all of the students in my class, I was the one that didn't graduate all because I couldn't learn a stupid technique, Naruto responded with a scoff as he looked at the buildings below. Don't let one technique get you down, Naruto, you're still a capable ninja, and that's why I have a secret to tell you, Mizuki said as he turned to the boy. Naruto looked at Mizuki with a cocked eyebrow. A secret? What kind of secret? Well the Sandaime Hokage told me to tell you that in case you were to ever fail, you would have to pass a different test to become a genin. Really? What kind of test? And why didn't Gramps tell me about it? Naruto quizzed as his full attention was on Mizuki. For this test, you have to sneak into the Hokage's office and steal the forbidden scroll. After that, bring it to the location I'm going to tell you later tonight and you'll pass. As for why he didn't tell you, he didn't want you to purposely fail the graduation exam so you could take this one, Mizuki answered with a small smile. Oh, I see now. Yes, but remember Naruto, you cannot tell anyone about this, it'll ruin the whole test. Naruto nodded and Mizuki stood up. Well, I'll see you here later tonight, okay? Naruto nodded and Mizuki jumped away. Naruto was giddy that he'd get another chance to become a genin. There was no way he was going to fail this one too. Naruto successfully stole the scroll and was now in the forest. He was by a shed Mizuki told him to go to when he got the scroll. As he waited, he visited Kyuubi, but the fox Biju was sleeping. Naruto tried to wake him up, but the fox just wouldn't open his eyes. When Kyuubi yawned, Naruto knew to get out of there as Kyuubi's breath stank badly. Out of curiosity and boredom, Naruto opened the scroll and began reading the first one. Shadow Clone Technique. He read. He began reading some more and his eyes widened. This is so easy. How can I understand this but not the clone technique? Naruto, out of irritation, stood up and began practicing the shadow clone technique. Some time passed and Iruka made it to where Naruto was. Naruto. Iruka shouted, grabbing the dirtied blonde's attention. Naruto looked to see who called him and saw Iruka there. Oh, hey Iruka-sensei. How are you? Naruto. How did you get that scroll? Naruto looked at him confused, but then grinned. I can't tell you, Mizuki told me that if I told you, it'd ruin the whole test. What test? Iruka asked, now curious as to what Naruto was talking about. Mizuki told me that the Hokage prepared a test for me in case I failed the graduation exam. Now, I have to give this scroll to Mizuki and I'll become a genin, Iruka-sensei. Iruka was taken back. Mizuki set him up to steal the scroll so that he could take it and deem Naruto a traitor to the village while also escaping Konoha. Naruto. You can't give that scroll to Mizuki. Iruka told the boy. What? Why not? Because he used you to steal the scroll for himself. If Mizuki gets that scroll, he'll have the forbidden secret techniques of Konoha. And if he escapes Hai no Kuni, we'll be in serious trouble if enemy nations decide to attack. Iruka explained. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked at the scroll. He'd been set up to steal a forbidden scroll. He was now seen as a traitor of the village. And it was all thanks to him listening to Mizuki. Stupid, stupid. How could I have fallen for that? Naruto grabbed his hair in frustration. Naruto, it's… Naruto. There you are. Don't let Iruka get the scroll, it'll ruin your test. Mizuki shouted as he appeared on a branch. You used me? Naruto shouted at the white-haired Chunin. What? No I didn't. I'm trying to help you pass to become a genin. If you give me the scroll you'll definitely pass. Mizuki exclaimed. No, if I hand you the scroll I'll be seen as a traitor to this village. Mizuki frowned, but then a grin grew on his face. Well, what's new anyways? People look at you as if you're a traitor, so what's the difference? I mean, why do you think people look at you the way that they do? They all know something that you don't. Mizuki, don't tell him, it's forbidden. Iruka shouted. You have the… I already know, Naruto interrupted. This surprised both Iruka and Mizuki. What? Iruka muttered as he stared at Naruto. I already know that the Kyuubi was sealed inside of me. I already know that people see me as the nine-tailed fox I met the nine tails, Naruto explained with a scowl as his eyes turned red and his pupils became slits. Mizuki and Iruka were shocked. I'm even friends with the nine tails. He helped me when I didn't have anyone and he taught me a lot of things. He's my closest friend I've had since I was 5 and I will not stand here and listen to you tell me that I'm the nine-tailed fox. I'm not. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, believe it. And you, Mizuki, are a traitor to this village. Naruto tossed Iruka the scroll and ran towards Mizuki. Naruto wait. Iruka screamed after him, but it was too late. Mizuki grit his teeth as his plan failed. Damn you, demon brat. Mizuki pulled out one of his giant shurikens and threw it at Naruto. Naruto made the clone sign. Shadow clone technique. 2 clones appeared next to him and they all looked at each other before the 2 clones ran ahead of the original. The original Naruto jumped on the clone to his left's back and jumped off of it, doing a barrel roll and avoiding the shuriken. As Naruto was doing his barrel roll, he held his hand out and the clone he jumped off of grabbed it. The original Naruto flung the clone up in the air and the other clone grabbed a hand, flinging high in the air to meet his other clone. The first clone that was in the air grabbed the other clone and did a multitude of spins before throwing the clone at Mizuki. The clone that was flying towards Mizuki did the boar tiger rat dragon hand seals. Fire release. Scorching limbs. His arms became black ash with fiery cracks in them and his sandals flared with flames. The clone tackled Mizuki, and as they hit the ground, the clone rolled with him before forcefully kicking the Chunin off of him. He hit a tree and bounced off of it, but the clone appeared before him and punched his stomach. Mizuki coughed up some saliva as the clone relentlessly beat Mizuki up while he was still suspended in the air. The clone then grabbed Mizuki's face and threw him towards the other clone that was descending in the air. As Mizuki made it to the other clone, it started making the snake dragon bird hand seals. Wind release. Sickle weasel technique. The clone then swiped both of his arms past each other and the wind began colliding right where Mizuki was. It soon formed into a tornado and the clone made sure to use a lot of chakra so that the wind would be more fiercer and sharper. After hearing Mizuki's cries of pain, the original Naruto landed and jumped on a branch before jumping in the air. He then went on to make the rat ox dog horse monkey boar tiger hand seals as he built up a lot of chakra in his mouth and body before converting it to fire. High release. Great fire destruction. Naruto then blew out and the giant flame quickly traveled to the sickle weasel technique. As the giant flames combined with the wind technique, it dramatically grew in size and looked like a giant fire tornado that could probably be seen across the whole village. After hearing one last cry from Mizuki, the flame and wind technique died down and only the ashes of the traitor Chunin remained. The ashes slowly fell down to the ground and Naruto's clones disappeared as he landed on a branch, eyes turning back to normal. He turned back to Iruka who looked at the scene in complete shock. Naruto jumped off the branch and looked at Iruka. I'm sorry, Iruka-sensei for stealing the scroll. Iruka took a moment to look at the whiskered blonde before smiling. You know what, Naruto? You passed the test. Naruto looked up at Iruka in shock. Hi passed how? Iruka chuckled. You made 2 solid clone shadow clones at that I think that deserves you to pass, Iruka answered as he rubbed Naruto's head. He then took off his hit I-8 and gave it to Naruto. It's proof that you passed. Naruto teared up and hugged Iruka. Thank you, Iruka, thank you. Iruka returned the hug as he looked up at the moon. After Iruka took Naruto out to eat some ramen, the whiskered blonde was soundly sleeping in his bed with a grin etched on his face. Are you ready, Naruto? Kyuubi asked as he looked down at the boy from the other side of the gate. Naruto nodded and he stood close to the gate. The water rose until it brought him to the tag that sealed Kyuubi shut. He grabbed the top of it and tugged, but then an explosion sent him away and he rolled across the water before stopping. Kyuubi couldn't help but laugh at this. Naruto shook his head and glared at the fox before looking at what was standing in front of him. It was a man with spiky blonde hair that looked like Naruto's but longer. He had blue eyes that were a bit lighter than Naruto's but looked the same. He was wearing the standard blue Konoha uniform with 2 bands on each sleeve and had a green flak jacket on with a blue hit I-8 and sandals. Over top of it, he was wearing a short-sleeved white haori with red flames on the motif. The man looked around before seeing the 9 tails sitting calmly behind the gate. Minato Namikaze, it's been a while. The man named Minato Namikaze narrowed his eyes. 9-tailed fox. Why Yandame Hokage, Naruto exclaimed as he looked at the glowing man in shock. Minato looked back at the whiskered blonde and was shocked too. Then Naruto, what the you're so young, Minato noticed as he walked closer to the boy. Yeah, I'm 12 now. Naruto exclaimed with a smile that instantly reminded Minato of someone. His mother. Wow, you've grown up. Minato said as he kneeled down and rubbed Naruto's hair. So, what are you doing here, Yandame? Naruto asked as he slightly tilted his head. Ah, right, well, I'm here because you tried to take off the seal. I came here just in case you were going to do it under the fox's influence, Minato explained. Oh, that's so awesome. Naruto responded. Minato laughed. So, how's Jiraiya? Minato asked. Who? Naruto asked back. Minato looked at his son for a solid 3 seconds before closing his eyes slowly and reopening them. Jiraiya, you know, the toad sage. The man with long, white and spiky hair. Isn't he your sensei now? Minato asked with a raised eyebrow. No, I don't know a Jiraiya plus, I just recently became a genin. I haven't gotten my Jounin squad leader yet, Naruto answered. Minato looked completely shocked. He looked back at the seal, then back at Naruto. Hold on, Jiraiya didn't give you some sort of key to unlock more of the fox's power so that you could better use it and control it? Nope, Naruto responded. Minato took a moment to look at the water. How well this is unexpected, Minato muttered to himself. Minato Kyuubi spoke. Minato turned to look at the fox. I might know why Naruto was able to pull the seal without the key. Minato stood up and walked over to Kyuubi with extra caution. The fox crouched down and whispered so that Naruto couldn't hear what they were saying. Minato's eyes widened as he learned about the new information he'd just gotten. I see. Minato quickly digested the information and made his way back to Naruto. So, Naruto Uzumaki, you didn't know your dad, did you? No, he died before I was born, Naruto replied as he looked at the water. Minato crouched down and looked at the water too, seeing both of their reflections. "Well, how about you get to know him now?" Minato asked. He saw Naruto's head look up at him through the water's reflection. "You can really take me to my dad, oh man, I have so much to ask him." Naruto exclaimed with a grin. "Well, ask away," Minato said as he sat down. Naruto looked at the man in confusion. But, after replaying what he said, his eyes widened. "Why you're my dad," Naruto whispered as he stared at Minato. "Sure am, son, how have you been?" Naruto slowly sat down. He stared at him before jumping on the deceased Hokage. "Dad!" Naruto exclaimed as he cried into Minato's shoulder. Minato hugged him and patted his back as he rocked him. I don't know what to say." "Sort your words out, son, I've got time," Minato said with a reassuring smile. Naruto nodded and continued hugging him. After Naruto had calmed down, he began asking Minato all of the questions he could think of, and Minato answered all of them. They spent a while talking to each other and trying to catch up as much as they could. Minato was on a time restraint after all. Naruto would sometimes include Kyuubi into the conversation, much to Kyuubi's annoyance, but joined in nonetheless. Minato looked at his arm and saw that it was starting to disappear. Damn it. Naruto also saw this and started slowly losing his smile. "Well, son, looks like my time's up," Minato pointed out with a sad smile. Naruto began tearing up. "Hey now, don't cry. Remember." Naruto couldn't stop the tears from streaming down his face as he nodded to his father's words. "Dad, I wish you and mom were there for me when I was growing up." "Me too, Naruto, I wish I was there as well," Minato said as he brought his son into a loving hug. "I love you, son." "I love you too, Dad." And with that Minato disappeared, making the place a bit darker. Naruto silently cried for a few minutes. Kyuubi watching, feeling sorry for Naruto for causing him so much sadness. "Did I?" "Don't blame yourself, Kyuubi," Naruto interrupted as he stood up and wiped his eyes. He walked up to the seal and the water rose again. "Things happened and I forgive you, it was in the past and I got a chance to meet my dad, so I'm not mad at you for this." Naruto grabbed the top of the seal and ripped it off. The gate swung open and Kyuubi was free. The fox got on all fours and moved out of the cell he was in for 12 years. As he moved out, the gates disappeared and turned into a necklace of some sort and strapped itself to Kyuubi's neck. He looked at the accessory, but realized a bit of the seal was still placed on him. "Damn, it seems like I'm not fully released yet," Kyuubi said with a sigh. Naruto looked at the necklace and frowned. "I guess we'll need Jiraiya for this," Naruto said. "Don't worry about that, I'm mostly free now, so I can share most of my chakra with you," Kyuubi pointed out with a smile. "Oh yeah. That's true." Naruto agreed with a grin. "Now, what's your real name?" Kyuubi recoiled back slightly as he completely forgot about that deal he made a long time ago. The fox sighed before looking at Naruto. "My name? It's Kurama." Naruto smirked. "Nice to meet you, Kurama. I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Kurama laughed at the reintroduction. "It's nice to meet you too, Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto giggled as Kurama greeted him back. "Now, go to bed, you're being assigned your Jonin squad leaders and you don't want to lose sleep," Kurama told the whiskered blonde. Naruto nodded at that. "Night, Kurama." Naruto opened his eyes and stared at the ceiling, reminiscing his meeting with his dad. He soon closed his eyes again as a smile was adorning his face and tears escaped the corners of his eyes. "I love you too, Dad." Naruto woke up early and got dressed. Today was the day he was going to be assigned to a 3-man squad with a Jounin leader. He couldn't miss this. As Naruto was making breakfast, he felt like someone was watching him. He turned to the window and saw Kat standing there, waving. Naruto smiled widely and went over to the window. He opened it and let Kat in. "Hey, Yugao. How are you?" Naruto asked. "I'm doing well, how are you?" Yugao responded. "I'm doing great. I just recently became a genin and today I'm going to be in a 3-man squad." Naruto told her as he put out his arms for emphasis. "Really? I knew my cute little Naruto would become a genin," Yugao said as she rubbed his head. Naruto grinned as he received the praise in the form of Yugao's patting. She stopped her patting when Naruto turned to the breakfast he was making. He went over to it and finished making it. As Naruto brought his breakfast to the table, he sat down and Yugao sat next to him. "Hey, Yugao," Naruto spoke as he looked at the Anbu Kunoichi. Yugao hummed as she looked at the blonde. "Do you know any Jounins that might be squad captains?" Naruto asked. She put a finger to her chin and thought. "Yeah, I do. Can you tell me about them so I know what to expect?" Naruto requested. "Sure," Yugao answered. "The first one is Asuma Sarutobi, the son of Hiruzen Sarutobi." "Wait, Gramps has a son?" Naruto asked, completely baffled. "Yes, but he doesn't like to talk about it," Yugao added. "The most notable thing about Asuma is he smokes all the time." But other than that, it's his short and black spiky hair, plus the beard that connects to it. Asuma is a pretty relaxed shinobi that specializes in Bukijutsu. He has a wind affinity like you as well, Naruto. Naruto perked up after hearing that. He does, that's awesome. I hope I get him then, so I can learn more about Bukijutsu. Yugao slightly tilted her head. Why not learn more about wind techniques? I think he has some that you can learn. Naruto chuckled and gave her a foxy grin. I already know some good wind techniques, so I'm fine for now. Oh? Who taught you? Yugao asked, a bit curious. Just a friend, Naruto responded as his grin turned into a smile, and he ate his breakfast. Yugao nodded at the answer and continued to describe the other jounins that would be squad leaders. After Naruto and Yugao talked for a bit, she had to go and so did he. Naruto was roof hopping to the academy when he spotted someone walking the streets. He stopped on a roof and looked at the person to see it was Hinata. He smiled as he jumped down and ran up to her. Hey Hinata. Naruto greeted the Hyuga. Hinata whipped her head at the sudden voice and relaxed when she saw it was Naruto. Oh, hello Naruto. I hope you're feeling better. After she stopped herself after looking at his forehead to see the hit I ate that meant he graduated. Wait, you graduated. Naruto chuckled and showed his foxy grin. Yep. I finally did the clone technique. Hinata couldn't help but smile. Naruto, that's awesome. You're a genin like me. Oh, I hope we're on the same team. Yeah, me too, and I hope Sasuke and his fangirls aren't one of our teammates, Naruto added as he narrowed his eyes. That would not be pleasant at all, Hinata agreed with a sigh. The two continued to talk about what kind of missions they'd go on and who their jounin leaders would be. They got to the academy, then walked to their classroom. They took their usual seats in the back and continued to talk until they heard a rumble in the distance. Everyone looked at the back door and suddenly, a pink cat and a platinum blonde girl both tried to fit through the sliding door but couldn't. Naruto watched with an annoyed look. Of course it's Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka that are making a ruckus, Naruto thought with a sigh and turned back around. I'm first. Sakura and Ino both exclaimed, then took a moment to catch their breaths. I win again, Sakura, Ino spoke first as she looked at her pink-haired competitor. Live it up, I had to look back to see you. My toe was at least a tenth of an inch ahead, Sakura retorted. Naruto stopped listening to the two bickering girls and focused on Hinata, who giggled at his annoyance. I still don't understand what they see in that breeding emo kid, Naruto whispered to Hinata. She silently giggled. I think it's because of the dark vibe that he's giving off, Hinata responded with air quotes, making Naruto giggle. They then heard a bunch of commotion and looked down to where Sasuke was sitting. A bunch of the kunoichi had gathered and started fighting with each other, claiming who got the classroom first and deserved to sit with Sasuke. Naruto sighed. It was annoying dealing with those girls. They always talked about Sasuke and it didn't seem like they took being a ninja seriously. Plus, they were rude to Naruto for no reason other than Sasuke didn't like him. Luckily, before the fighting could get more annoying, if that was possible, Iruka came in and told everyone to take a seat. Somehow, Ino and Sakura moved Sasuke in between them. Alright class, listen up. You've all faced trouble and difficult hardships to get this far, but that means nothing now. You're all genin, first level ninjas. You guys will be grouped into 3-man squads led by a jounin, an elite ninja, Iruka spoke. The class eyes widened. Iruka took a moment to let that information sink in before continuing. Alright. Team 7. Naruto Uzumaki, the whiskered blonde, smiled and looked at Hinata, who smiled back. This could be their chance to be on a team together. Sakura Haruno, okay, this is fine, and Sasuke Uchiha, never mind. Naruto's smile disappeared as he put his head down. Hinata lost her smile as well, but decided to comfort Naruto. Sakura cheered as she was on Sasuke's team and not the other girls. Naruto droned out Iruka as he announced the other teams. He didn't care at all since he wasn't on the same team as Hinata, but he did listen to who was on her team before droning out Iruka once again. Naruto was sitting on Kurama's head as he looked at the darkness. You alright, kid? Kurama asked as he looked up. Sure. I mean, why wouldn't I be? I have the two best teammates I could ask for, Naruto sarcastically replied. How about we do something to get your mind off of your team for a bit, Kurama suggested. Like what? Naruto asked, intrigued by Kurama's suggestion. Let's try a collaboration technique, Kurama answered with a smile. Naruto smiled as well, liking the suggestion. Okay, yeah. Let's do it. Naruto shouted with a fist raised. So, what technique did you have in mind? Well, I've been thinking of one I'd like to try out, but I need you to do something, and I don't know if you can do it, Kurama answered. I'm pretty sure I can do it just fine. Kurama looked at the blonde before sighing. Can you make an empty shadow clone? An empty what? Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow. An empty shadow clone so I can possess it, Kurama stated. Naruto had to think about that. Could he actually make an empty shadow clone? How would he even be able to do that? Naruto began thinking of a way for Kurama to possess a shadow clone, but it was difficult. How was he supposed to take his chakra out of his clone and not have it disperse, or maybe he just needs to make one that simply doesn't have chakra at all. Naruto made the clone hand seal, but reversed. Empty shadow clone technique. To Naruto's surprise, a puff of smoke appeared next to him and a shadow clone was made, except this one's eyes were blank and it just stared into nothingness. It was also pale. Perfect. Nice job, kid, Kurama praised as he tapped the clone with his claw. Once he did that, the fox Biju disappeared. Naruto was shocked. He frantically looked around to see where Kurama went. "I'm right next to you, kid," Kurama's voice said. Naruto looked at the empty shadow clone and saw that its appearance changed. His clone's hair was now orange like Kurama's fur and it was more frizzier. The clone's eyes were red with black slits and the whiskers were more prominent. The skin was darker as well and the sealing necklace was there too. Naruto also saw that the clone had 9 small tails waving behind it. "Hey Kurama, you possessed the clone?" Naruto asked, shocked and amazed. "Yep. I'll only disappear when you use it in here. If you were to do this outside, I'd still be here. But I'd need to focus on possessing the empty shadow clone," Kurama explained as he inspected himself. "Oh, I see," Naruto said as he nodded understandingly. "Now the first technique I thought of is called reverse fox hunt. It's where we transform into me and aggressively attack groups of enemies or to simply overwhelm an opponent." "I can actually transform to look like you?" Naruto asked as his eyes widened. "It's like a transformation technique, but you actually transform instead of disguising," Kurama elaborated. "Do you want to try it out?" Naruto smirked as he nodded. "Hell yeah, I do." "Alright then, but first, we need enemies, and a lot of them," Kurama said as he put a hand on his hip and looked at the darkness in front of them. "Oh. I can make a bunch of clones, they could be our enemies," Naruto told. "No, do not do that." "But why not?" "Because preparations have already been prepared. Rise up," Kurama commanded. Naruto watched the darkness as he could hear something come out from the water. He couldn't exactly see what was going on, but he saw a bunch of white eyes appear in the dark. Kurama was lucky that Kirai would do this for Naruto's training. "Now, make the dog hand seal with me." "Huh? Oh, okay." Naruto and Kurama both made the dog sign. "Reverse fox hunt." They both shouted. A giant puff of smoke appeared in place of them and as it cleared, there were now 2 9-tailed foxes. One of them was Kurama while the other was Naruto, but Naruto didn't look like Kurama. Naruto was yellow and had blue eyes with black slits. He had a tuft of spiky fur on his head to resemble his normal hair. Naruto took a minute to look at himself. He expected to look like an exact copy of Kurama, not look like himself as the 9 tails. Whoa, Naruto whispered and realized his voice was about as deep as Kurama's. "I'm actually a Kyuubi." Kurama smirked, then faced ahead. "Hey, kid, take a look at the enemies in front of us again." Naruto did just that and could actually see them in the dark. There were a bunch of them just standing there, looking up at the 2 Kyuubis. Naruto then smirked. "Let's get this going, yeah? I hope you can follow my lead, kid, I'm not easy to read," Kurama challenged. Naruto looked at Kurama, keeping his smirk. "I already know what you're thinking, you know." "Oh really? Then let's do this." Kurama took off and Naruto followed, right beside him. Tailed Beast Ball. After Naruto and Kurama tried out different collaboration techniques, Naruto returned back to the classroom after the teams were made. "After lunch, you'll meet your new jounin teachers. Until then, class dismissed," Iruka spoke. Everyone got up and headed out of the classroom except Naruto and Hinata. "Man, this sucks, I really wanted to be with you too, Hinata," Naruto said with a sigh. Hinata looked at him and nodded. "I did too, but it's already been decided," Hinata said with a silent sigh. "Well, at least we get to spend time with each other before then. So, how about it? Wanna have lunch with me?" Naruto offered with a smile. Hinata smiled back as she nodded. "Yes, I'd love to." Naruto and Hinata went out of the classroom and out of the academy. As they were walking and deciding on a place to go, they noticed someone standing in their way to leave. It was none other than Sasuke Uchiha with his fangirls near him, who was staring down Naruto. Naruto. Sasuke spoke with malice. Naruto sighed as he had bored eyes. "Yes, Sasuke?" Naruto asked, already guessing what he was going to say. "I want to fight you, now," Sasuke stated. Naruto blinked and stared at the Uchiha for a minute before shrugging. "It's gonna be the same result, but sure, why not?" Naruto said. He looked at Hinata and smiled. "It'll only take a second." "You should destroy him, Naruto, so that way he doesn't want to fight you again," Hinata suggested. Naruto's eyes slightly widened. He didn't expect that out of Hinata. "I'd like to, but he is a part of my team and I don't want to deal with his fangirls trying to attack me," Naruto pointed out as he looked at them, all glaring at Naruto. Hinata seemed to nod as she too looked at the glaring fangirls. Right, well, just beat him so we can have our lunch together. You got it. Naruto responded with a foxy grin and a thumbs up. The whiskered blonde then turned back to Sasuke and walked closer to him. I'm surprised you've somehow convinced a person to actually be your friend. And Hinata Hyuga, no less, Sasuke stated as his eyes wandered to the Hyuga heiress. Naruto glared his eyes. I didn't convince her, she's just a very nice and sweet person, something you've never heard of, the blonde retorted. It would be a shame if she so happened to be attracted to me because of my battle prowess, Sasuke said as he didn't take his eyes off of Hinata. Oh please, she could beat you without trying, and you've never beaten me before, Uchiha, what makes you think you're gonna beat me this time? Naruto asked with a sneer. Sasuke finally took his eyes off of Hinata and glared at Naruto. Hinata deadpanned at Sasuke's words. None of what he said sounded appealing at all to her. Sakura and Ino were next to her, and she could already sense she was going to get annoyed at what they were going to say. Hey, Hinata, you sure you want to be hanging with Naruto? Sakura asked, a hint of venom after saying the blonde's name. Yes, is there a problem with that? Hinata responded as kindly as she could without trying to seem hostile. Yeah. I mean Naruto's Naruto. He's an arrogant asshole that's always rude to Sasuke, you shouldn't be hanging out with him. He'll only get you into trouble, Ino answered as she crossed her arms. Naruto is only like that with Sasuke because Sasuke's always challenging him to fights he's going to lose and Sasuke's always mean to Naruto. Also, I will hang out with who I please. I really like Naruto a lot and I'm not going to stay away from him just because you told me to, Hinata defended as she watched the two boys. PSH, yeah right. Sasuke just wants to give Naruto a fair chance since he's way above that idiot skill level, Sakura retorted with Ino wholeheartedly agreeing with her. And fine, but he'll ruin your life. He's a good-for-nothing dumbus. Hinata looked at them impassively. Are these girls serious? She shook her head and looked back at Sasuke getting into a fighting stance while Naruto put his hands in his pockets, glaring at the raven-haired boy. What did Sasuke say to make Naruto angry? Naruto clenched his fists as he heard what Sasuke said. He was glad Hinata didn't hear what this jackass said. Kami how he wanted to use the reverse fox hunt on Sasuke, but he held back on doing so it would scare his second human friend if he did that. Alright Sasuke, since you wanna lose so badly, I'll make the first move, Naruto said with gritted teeth. Hey, Kurama how fast do you think I can reach Sasuke? As in appear next to him fast. Kurama asked. Yeah, like, do you think I'm as fast as my dad? Hell. No, Kurama flat out replied. Teach me how to do the body flicker technique really quickly then, Naruto said. What I can't teach you the body flicker technique if I don't know how to do it, Kurama explained. You never mind, you know what it is right? If so, explain it to me. Kurama sighed, but complied. Alright, fine. To do the body flicker technique, you have to use your chakra to strengthen and energize your body. The amount of chakra required depends on the distance. Also, you have to make the tiger hand seal to do it. Naruto nodded and he began to use his chakra to strengthen and energize his body. He took his hands out of his pockets and made the tiger hand seal. Naruto appeared right next to Sasuke in the air. Sasuke's eyes widened as Naruto wasn't in his original spot. He tried to turn to the left, but he was met with a great pain to the back of his head that shook his skull. Sasuke's face was forced into the ground and Naruto landed next to him. He picked up the Uchiha's head and rendered him barely conscious. Naruto leaned into Sasuke's ear. Say something like that about Hinata again and you'll get more than a kick to the back of the head, he warned as he slammed Sasuke's face back into the ground. He looked at Hinata for a moment and turned away, walking to get lunch somewhere. Hinata quickly left the scene and joined the blonde. That was awesome, Naruto. The way you teleported to him and he didn't even have time to react, then you kicked his head and owned him. Hinata recalled with a bright smile. Naruto looked at her and smiled back, he then rubbed her head, making her blush. Of course. I had to show that Uchiha jackass who's the stronger one, you know. Hinata giggled at that and the two decided on where to get lunch, though they had to make it quick. That fight costed them a bit of time. Naruto and Hinata ate their lunch by their picnic spot, with Hinata sitting in Naruto's lap and relaxing against his chest. She began doing this a couple weeks ago, and it started with Hinata lying in his lap when she was tired. After that, it slowly progressed to her sleeping on his shoulder, and somehow, his lap became her favorite spot to sit. But now they were back in class and about to be assigned their jounin teachers. There were a lot of them in the front of the classroom, but the two that really stood out were a man with short black spiky hair and a beard that connected to his hair with a cigarette in his mouth and had his hit on his forehead. Next to him was a woman with long black untamed hair. She had unique red eyes with a ring in them and had purple eyeshadow with red lipstick. She was wearing a red mesh armor blouse with only the right sleeve visible and the blouse had a thorn-like pattern on it. Her hands and upper thighs were wrapped in bandages. She was wearing regular shinobi sandals and had her hit I-8 on her forehead too. Asuma Saratobi and Kurana Yuhi, wow, she's beautiful, Naruto thought as she stared at the two jounin captains. One by one, the now formed teams left with their jounin whenever they were called. Hinata was with Kurenai and Naruto couldn't help but feel a bit jealous at that, but he forgot about it after it was only him, Sasuke, and Sakura left in the classroom. He remembered Yugao saying that Kakashi tended to be late, extremely late. During that time, Sakura started to loudly complain and Naruto ignored it for the better. He decided to train with Kurama and to work on his collaboration techniques with his Biju. The sound of a door opening alerted the three genin to who opened it, and it was a man with white gravity-defying spiky hair with a black eye, and his hit I-8 was covering his left eye. He looked at the three genin and closed his eye, nodding to himself before opening it again. You know, my first impression of this group is you all look like idiots. What if Naruto has harem with Hinata and temari gara bashing? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.